All right, I'm gonna take you behind the scenes to where all the magic is happening. We have a photo shoot section set up today, as well as a video section where all of our clients are doing a mini little profile on themselves. So here's behind the scenes. This is our beautiful room. And like I said, here's where we have the photo set up. We have some fun little things for people to use in the photos, whether it be baseballs, footballs, pictures. We have a gun that shoots out money, so that's pretty fun. And then obviously here's our team that's been helping out here today. We got the beautiful Clem back here. He's doing the helping with the videography for all the profiles, and Ro, who's on the phone right now, she's been asking all the questions and really working on making people feel comfortable. And then over here, we got Rochester. Steven, you've met him before, and he's kind of doing everything behind the scenes, making sure that all the images and all the film that comes through, it looks good. It's 9 p.m. here on Thursday, and the team has been working since before 8 a.m. They did an incredible job. We had 18 real estate agents come and join us today to take videos and pictures and do a little profile piece about who they are and some of their favorite hobbies and some of the areas that they work in. It was an absolute blast, and the best part was just seeing the team come together and solve problems as they came up, because the problems always come up, and the team was on top of it, and they were all working together and gelling together, and it was a lot of fun. But I got to admit, we're really, really tired. We just ate some dinner, and now it's time to send everyone home, and we'll be right back at the office tomorrow. So we hope you enjoyed this, guys. It was a lot of fun for us. We'll see you next time.
One second, buddy. Okay, give me 1 second. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower your honor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Content Con. This conference today, guys, is made with you in mind. We've got real estate agents on, we've got mortgage brokers on, and I know we have over 1,000 people registered today. So we're so grateful. The team's here. We're super pumped that you're all joining us today. And not only are you guys joining us from Toronto, which is where I'm located, but we have people joining us from all across the Greater Toronto area, all across the province of Ontario. We have people joining us all across the country even. I know there's people out in Vancouver and Halifax who are here today. And even better than that, I know that we have some people down south of us in the US that are joining us too. So we appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. And I hope that by the end of this 4-hour session, you guys walk away feeling a little bit more inspired, and hopefully we've given you a lot of value. We've got some incredible speakers joining us today, and they're all experts in their own field. We have a professor, we have people who are going to talk about Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, podcasting. I'm sure I've missed 1 or 2 in there, but we got a great lineup for everyone today. And so again, I just really appreciate everyone joining us. Ultimately, the goal here, you've seen all the ads, you've seen all the emails. You're joining us because you want to make 2022 the year of you. And what do I mean by that? Well, the team put this event together because we really want to help educate you guys on how you can leverage your personal brand, on how to help you grow your business, grow and scale your business, right? And so how are we going to do that? Through personal branding. And that's what a professor is going to join us today to talk about, through content creation. And that's all using social media, using macro pillars of content to help you guys produce content at scale, but not take that much time away from you. And so I just wanted to really give a quick shout out first to the team that's here today. So today's conference is powered by FTGU Media. You're probably wondering, what is FTGU Media? So FTGU Media actually stands for from the Ground Up Media. And it's a company that my business partner and I started about 7 months ago. And we're real estate agents. So this is really just kind of a side hustle that we started, as I said, 7 months ago. And it kind of came out of necessity, in all honesty. In and around 2018, I was working for a real estate team. And the owner of that team said to me, he wanted to start podcasting. He's going to be joining us later. So, he loves to talk. He's usually actually the one in the seat doing all this fun stuff for you guys today. But I've put him kind of on the sidelines today. He's just going to be doing his one little talk. We decided that we wanted to put me in the hot seat today to host all of this for you guys and to really showcase that when it comes to content creation, you have to get outside your comfort zone. And that's what I'm here doing today. And I hope that I can hopefully inspire you guys to get outside your comfort zone today as well. So let me take you back now a bit. So 2018, my partner said, I want to start producing a podcast. And we thought, okay, I don't really even know what a podcast is. Now, if you guys are joining us from the US, you guys are a little quicker to get on these trends than we are. We're a little bit slower here in Canada. So podcasting wasn't all that huge back in 2018. People had heard about it, and obviously it was kind of, a topic of conversation, but certainly the average person like me or other real estate agents were not hosting their own podcast here. And I said, you know what? I learned something incredible in university about personal branding and how you can really build top of the funnel awareness to help drive business. This sounds really interesting to me. So why not? Let's give it a shot. And from that point on, we started the podcast having no clue what we were doing. I was actually the videographer, the audio control person. I don't even know what the proper names for these things. I was the person that was doing all the tech around it. And for anyone who's watching who knows me, like, you guys know I don't know tech. So it's very ironic to even think that I had any control over that process. But it goes to show that sometimes you just got to get started. You got to get your feet wet. And then we learned as we went along, and it kind of morphed into an incredible journey around content creation, around producing videos with intent, around producing content for our clients with intent, more importantly. I want you guys to know that content creation shouldn't be about necessarily becoming famous on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. That's not the goal here. If you're a real estate agent, you're a mortgage broker, and you're watching this, the goal really around your content creation should be about you getting a deeper relationship with the clients that you already have. And so we're going to talk to you about how you can use this content to help leverage those relationships to produce content that's shareable, that's referable, so that your clients are referring you to their friends and family. And that's going to drive your business. So keep that in mind, that the vanity metrics don't matter. The likes and the followers, that stuff doesn't matter. That stuff comes secondary to just you providing valuable information to your clients so that they can make informed decisions when thinking about buying or selling or investing in real estate. So let me just make sure the team wrote me out a little piece of paper here to make sure that I got through everything. Ultimately, this is as I mentioned, our first time doing this. And so please excuse any turbulence along the way. I'm sure there'll be a little bit, but again, I just want to point out that this is all part of the process, right? We're using technology. Sometimes things go wrong. The audio goes out. Sometimes the camera goes out. Sometimes I trip on wires, whatever it is. Just understand that that's going to be part of your journey as well. And so you got to roll with the punches a little bit. I'm going to be talking to my boy, Steven, over here. He's our content director. Steven, can you just wave hello or something at the crowd? Maybe there he is. There's Steven. He's managing the 1 and 2s over here, but he really does everything on the back end for our company. We have a whole team now after 7 months. We've got editors, videographers, photographers. We have a content director, brand strategist. We have content writers on the team. We have client concierge services managers that help all of our clients communicate effectively. And what we really do here is ultimately give people a full turnkey service so that they can produce, edit, and post content as easy as possible so that they can focus on their business. So that's what we do here. But I'm already being told I'm talking too much. So this is going to be a hard one today, guys, because everyone who I'm bringing on loves the camera, loves to talk a lot. And so bear with us if we go a little bit over. I'm going to try and keep us to schedule as much as possible. So without further ado, Steven, let's bring on our first guest. This guest, guys, is my professor from Schulich School of Business, which is not only one of the top-rated business schools in the country, but globally. And he was my professor way back in the day, probably 2012. Hi, Marcus. Hi,
Hey,
Professor.
Laura.
Should I still call you Professor? I think
so.
so.
You can call me Marcus. You've always called me Marcus. That's quite all right.
I know. I'm a little nervous having you on because I feel like I'm still getting graded by you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing a good enough job? I like my A grades there, Professor. So I hope you're
all good.
grading
So
on the
far, you've
curve.
gotten an A+.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. As I mentioned, he was a professor of mine a number of years ago. Now you haven't aged a bit, so congrats to that.
Right back to you.
I'm sure I've aged quite a bit since then. Just wanted to let everyone know I took a class with you as a marketing class, and one of the lessons that you taught in that class or project that we did was called Me Inc. And it was in and around providing looking at ourselves really as a company, as a brand. And you wanted us to hone in on what does our brand stand for? Who's our target market? What do we want to, who do we want to speak to? What do we want to speak about? What are kind of 3 things that we want people to think about us when we're out of the room? And that class probably was the one out of all of the classes I took. And there was a lot, guys. There's a lot of classes that were mind-numbing at times, but this one really captivated me. I just loved this project. I loved how you taught it. And so that's why I brought you on, because I figured who better to speak about this than the man who I learned it from himself. So Marcus, I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here. As Laura already mentioned, I'm a prof at the Schulich School of Business here in Toronto, where I've taught marketing and branding for many, many years. And today I want to share everything that I've learned in those 18 years at the Schulich School of Business about personal branding. I brought some slides. I'm not sure if the slides can be up or will be up. If not, that's fine. I want to talk about 3 things specifically: spark, create, and listen. Those are 3 things that are really absolutely central to personal branding, and I will address them. But before I do so, I thought I'd tell you a true personal story. I grew up in a small town in Europe, in Germany, and there was a guy, let's call him John. John was a photographer. He lived within sort of like a small apartment, nothing special. It was kind of a photographic archive. And the deal was in my town that everyone I knew would go to John for some photos and a story. So we as kids, as teenagers, the grown-ups would all go to John from time to time. It's like a therapy session of sorts, and go to John. Here's some of John's photographies. So John's deal was that he would essentially sort of photograph my hometown. And if you went to him, he would sort of give you a photograph and then he would tell you a story along with that. And the whole thing would cost €5. So John was already very old when I grew up and he eventually passed away. But the thing that struck everybody when he passed away was that he left a €7 million estate. Okay, that's quite remarkable for a small town such as the one that I grew up in. So, nobody thought that John indeed was or had all along been an institution to our hometown, all based on storytelling, and the fact that, he was the one that we all went to for a little story, for a little bit of conversation, for a relationship, as Laura already mentioned. And that's what I want to talk about today. All right. And yet, in my 18 years at the Schulich School of Business, where I've had the great privilege of talking to, some of Canada's most up and coming business executives, our students are all very smart. They're all very skilled. They're amazing. Only very few get that personal branding thing right. Like only maybe 4%, 5% of all students have done a great job at accomplishing personal branding at a level where I would say this is pretty amazing. So, the question that I want to discuss today is why do we get this so wrong? What is it about personal branding that is so challenging for us? And why do we get this so wrong? So first of all, forget everything that you know about branding and sales. I think that is very important. Every branding book that you can buy, every branding advice that I've seen on YouTube, on the internet, that is really, really about products and services. That is not about people. So you have to understand that personal branding is about people. And when it comes to people, it's really about something else. It's not about, you know, the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion necessarily. It's not about segmentation, targeting, and positioning. These are all things that matter. But you know what? You're not a fruit yogurt, okay? So you're not one of those products. You're not a breakfast cereal. You're actually also not a website. You know, you're a real human being. So don't think that, you know, this is all just about creating a stunning website or creating yourself or recreating yourself as a product. So keep all these things in mind. One last thing I want to say, and this is because my students are great fans of the person. You're also not Gary Vee. I know that a lot of you are Gary Vee fans. I'm a Gary Vee fan. What Gary Vee does is amazing, but it probably also only works for Gary Vee. So the real question then, you can skip the slides, a couple of slides until we get beyond the Gary Vee. Okay, you're not you're not Gary Vee. Okay, it is really all about you. Okay, so you have to understand personal branding is really more about the personal than it is about the branding. Okay, so it's 90% personal, 10% branding. All the things that we know about branding, and believe me, I've been a branding scholar, a branding researcher. I've published academic studies on brands and branding for many, many years. All of this stuff is cool, it's visionary, it's useful, but when it comes to personal branding, it's really about you as a person. I want you to meet another student of mine, a student who I've had a couple of years ago. Let's call him Mike, okay? Here is Mike. Mike is, like Laura, a former student of mine. It's a true story. Mike was an accountant. And when we did the personal branding lecture, I said, you know what? You have to understand personal branding is really about the person. It's about who you are. Mike came to me and said, you know what? I think I'm a pretty boring guy. I really don't have much to say here and much to contribute. I'm an accountant. That's what I'm really good at. But my dream is to be in gaming. I want to be in the gaming industry. I want to work for Electronic Arts, Microsoft, you name it. But I've applied to many of these companies and they've rejected me. So you have something that you're very skilled at. You know, let it be accounting, and then you have something that you're very, very passionate about, which is gaming. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. And often, you know, for many of us, for most of us, including Mike, these things remain contradictions that are unresolved. Okay? I'm very good at accounting. That's like what I've been trained to do. I've worked in accounting firms for most of my life. My parents always wanted me to be in accounting. I know how to operate Excel. That's like the deal. But really, like, my dream is, my passion is to be in gaming. So I told Mike, you know, see, the thing is, most of us really always accept the fact that passion and profession, or what we're skilled at and what we're passionate about, remains unresolved for the rest of our lives. And that's something that we've come to accept. But the select few of us who have managed to sort of bring this thing together are typically the ones that other people are attracted to. So this rule of attraction has a lot to do with the fact that we as human beings crave stories. Now, that raises the question of what is a great story? A great story is a person going through a struggle and trying to resolve the struggle that these contradictions are to him, okay? And as he's trying to resolve this, we become more and more interested. And as he or she is then finding a resolution to the struggle, we just get hooked. We just get hooked. We have a name for that. We call that a hero. That is a person who we look up to. And we look up to that person because that person has the ability to sort of bring these opposing sort of streams and opposing things together. Passion and profession. Now let's get back to Mike. What does that mean for Mike? He asked me that. What does this mean for me? Okay, I'm in accounting. I know accounting very well, but I want to be in gaming. I said, you know, if you can find a way to bring these two worlds together, these two worlds that are commonly held disparate, and you do this in an original and creative way, I bet people will be very interested in you. So a couple of weeks pass, and one day Mike shows up in my office again. He says, you won't believe what I did. I just programmed the world's first adventure computer game in Excel. Okay. So he took something that he's very good at, Excel, accounting, and he completely sort of like hijacked that thing to sort of bring his passion to life. Let that sink in for a moment here. So here's a guy who thinks he's boring. He's an accountant. Okay. And he's passionate about gaming, but he found a way to bring the world of gaming into the world of accounting. And he did this in the most creative, original, and unanticipated way. All right. So I told him, Mike, this is great. I played the adventure game in Excel because I too, as a prof, know a thing or two about Excel. And I had never seen Excel as a gamified sort of technology. So I told him, create a website and tell your story to the world. And that's what he did. Then I gave him 4 or 5 sort of journalist contacts and asked him, take your story to them, write them, tell them what you did. So he wrote to these journalists. They started reporting about his game. And overnight, over, 200 media outlets around the world began to talk about Mike and his Excel adventure computer game. Okay? So he became a hero overnight. And why did he become a hero? Because he accomplished this thing where, you take your passion and your profession, put it together in an original and unanticipated ways. So this is what I call the spark. Okay? And that's a thing that I didn't invent. That's something that is as old and as ancient as sort of human storytelling itself. All great stories are essentially a retell of this particular story of Mike. Taking two things, they're commonly held separate, putting them together. I don't know if we can show that slide with Ulysses and the bow. Yeah, check this out, guys. This is an illustration of one of the most ancient sort of heroes from antiquity, called Ulysses. It's a book by Homer. It's, very famous book, very famous story. It's the story of stories, as some would argue. What you see here is Ulysses. He's the hero, and the illustration shows him with a bow. And if you know the story of Ulysses, you know that the bow is of a lot of symbolic significance for Homer. The reason for that is that the bow is a metaphorical device that brings these sort of two disparate worlds, the two ends of the bow together. And if you know a thing or two about the story of Ulysses, he's the only guy in town who's actually capable of wielding the bow. Okay, and by that, Homer means he's sharing with us the secret of personal branding thousands of years ago. Okay, telling us, look, if you want to be a personal branding hero, the way to go is tell a story that people want to listen to. And that's a story that involves wielding the bow, taking those two dimensions that are commonly held separate together. And that's Ulysses. Okay, now, and that's what I call the spark. Let's go back to once you light the spark, what can you do? Once Mike, my former student, lit the spark, he was in a very fortunate position because all of a sudden everybody listened to him. He had people listen to him. All right, he had an audience. And so from then on out, everything he did became what I call a JPU, a just publishable unit. And a JPU, a just publishable unit, is something that's very, very important to you. A JPU is a small piece of content that is essentially a small piece of the hero that you're sort of circulating and broadcasting through a variety of different media channels. So these could be Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter. And from then on out, everything Mike did, whether he was eating breakfast, whether he was driving to the Schulich School of Business, whether he was doing an update or preparing an update for his computer game on Excel, whether he would send out some applications to Microsoft or Electronic Arts, became of interest to this audience. So once you have the spark, it's very important that only then the process of creation begins. So this idea of, hey, we're creators, we're creating content, we're producing content, that is something that happens after the spark. The spark is where, you wield the bow, you have the opposing sort of worlds that you bring together. That's the story. Once you have the story, you can have various just publishable units to which you sort of bring your heroism and your struggle, your journey into the world, okay? That's the importance of JPUs. And once you've accomplished that, you can actually make some noise. And here comes another problem that I see with a lot of my students. You know, I don't hear them. I don't see them. They actually do not make noise, okay? Even though I would like to see more of them, and you know, the students that, or alumni that I have that have done it well and do it well, I do. Most of the students that I have actually don't make enough noise. Every morning when I open my Instagram, the first person I see is Laura. She's on there. Boom, good morning, Marcus. She has new content for me. She has another JPU, another just publishable unit that she presents to me. And of course, since Laura has the spark and I have that intimate connection with Laura, I'm part of her audience. I'm an audience member. She is the personal brand that I aspire to, that I admire. That next JPU is what I want to focus on. So visibility matters. The spark matters. Once you have the spark, just drill it down into JPUs, just publishable units, and circulate them across a variety of different channels. Now, there's another problem. Why does most of the self-branding content that we're exposed to suck? That's another thing. You know, if people have visibility, then sometimes they're visible, but in an awkward and embarrassing way, okay? And there's no excuse to that. You have to master the tools. So the third thing that I want to talk about when it comes to personal branding is actually technology. We've talked about the spark, which matters. We've talked about the just publishable unit of how you break down your story and make it accessible to your audience. But then you have to also master the tools. We live in 2021. You know, technology really matters. You have to be able to navigate a Squarespace website. You have to know what it takes to be a content producer on Instagram. You have to know and understand how to operate a video camera and a professional microphone. Okay. These things are super duper important. And I know a lot of amazing people who have managed to create the spark, who have managed to create just publishable units out of that, but who don't master the tools. And as a result, the performance that they bring into the world is suboptimal. And they don't look like Ulysses with a bow. I don't know what they look like, but they look like really not presentable. So mastering the tools is important. And thankfully, there's a lot of help in the marketplace, and Laura and her company can help you with that. So really, it comes down to 20% story, 80% tools, okay? All of what I've told you so far, the Spark and the Just Publishable units, that's 20%. The other 80% are the tools that you use to actually bring the rubber to the road, okay? And bring the Just Publishable units into the world in a manner that is presentable, that's transformative, and that audiences that are used to YouTube channels, that are used to, I don't know, Netflix level production quality can bring to fruition. All right. Okay, next slide. Let's wrap it up. It's time to wrap it up. All of this is really hard work. I want you guys to understand that personal branding isn't just, again, an idea that you have like once a week and then you sit down for half an hour and write a Facebook post or present a little YouTube video. Personal branding is a mindset, okay, that consists of these three things: the spark, the just publishable units, and the content work that you actually do in terms of mastering the tools. All of this is hard work. And like John in my hometown, okay, that hard work, though, gets rewarded. Because over time, as you build an audience, something else, and this is the fourth point that I want to share with you, becomes really, really important. That's also why these technologies matter. You need to listen. Personal branding actually has a lot more to do with listening to your audience, less to do with speaking to your audience, okay? Here again, these technologies that I've just mentioned matter, because the technologies that Laura masters that she can help you with are technologies that you can use to speak, but there are also technologies that you can use to listen. And that is something we often forget. Okay, social media technologies are social listening technologies. And the thing that John always understood in my hometown, and that's what made him rich and famous in the end, was the first thing to do when a person enters your room is to listen to their story and understand what they are all about. And then you translate your brand, your spark, to that story, to that person's mindset, mentality, and mood. Okay. That's all I have. Back to Laura. Spark. Okay. JPU, just publishable unit, mastering the tools, and listen. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Obviously, 20 minutes is not enough time for you to really unpack everything there is to know about personal branding, but you gave us some incredible tips, at least a very good place to start. Guys, if you're watching and you had questions, please put them in the comments, because we do have about 10 minutes now for a Q&A with Marcus, and I'm actually going to kick it off because, Marcus, the question that I get a lot from people is like, okay, great. I get that I need to do personal branding. I understand that I need to be producing content, but like, I really don't know where to start. And I know you were talking about the JPUs, you know, like a small piece of the hero. Where does a person start? I always say, like, take a piece of paper. On the left-hand side, write down your hobbies and your passions. And on the right-hand side, talk about, you know, ask your friends, ask your family, ask your colleagues for some describing words. How would they describe you? And then that usually tells a pretty good story, at least a good place for you to start. What's your advice for that?
Yeah, absolutely, Laura. You nailed it right there. So the first thing I do with my students is we have this blank piece of paper, and then we have passion and profession. What are my skills? What am I good at? And that's the easy thing, right? Because we all like have some form of training in some domain. And that's on the left side of the tally. On the right side of the tally is, what am I passionate about? This can be anything. This can be, you know, pet photography, cooking, computer games, content production, music, movies. Doesn't matter. We're more shy to kind of write down the passions and sort of more confident about writing down the skills, because we as a society have been sort of like trained to kind of, you know, focus more on our skills and our degrees and all of these things. I should probably not say this as a Schulich School of Business, York University professor, but degrees and professional training are secondary to what you're passionate about. So, you know, the first step is to be honest with yourself, reflect on what you're really passionate about, and then accept that. And then also, Laura, as you rightly point out, talk to your friends and family, because they often understand already a lot better what you're all about in terms of your passions before you do.
That's super helpful. It's funny because I feel like in my journey, I've thrown a lot against the wall just to kind of see what sticks, because like you said, you have to listen. So if you spend too much time really judging your own content and saying, I don't know if I want to put that up, I don't know if I want to put that out for the world to see. The problem with that is that you never have the opportunity to listen to the market. And so I started putting up some pieces of content, and then I found I didn't get a lot of engagement. Clearly people weren't liking it. And I would put up different types of content, and I would find that there was more engagement. And so the idea here is to put up quantity first, and then to listen to the marketplace and see what's kind of resonating, and see what people like about you, where their engagement is, and then obviously the quality will come out of that. So I think that's a really important point. We did have a question from Connell. What would you focus on in a short-term personal branding video? So I'm presuming maybe Connell needs this, like, perhaps for his website, or if it's kind of his coming out party to the world, like, I'm going to be on Instagram and I'm going to be doing all this content creation. What would be a good place for him to start for a quick video?
Right. Our intuition would tell us that the best way to start for such a video is to kind of like liken yourself to fruit yogurt. You know, attribute-oriented benefit branding is what we call that in branding language. And by that we mean, you know, I'm the sweetest yogurt, I have the best ingredients, and I cost the least. You know, that is absolutely not what we should be doing. And again, we have to kind of like almost act against our intuition and focus a little more on, you know, the personal. Make it personal. Really introduce yourself as a person. You know, say who you are, what drives you, what you're passionate about, and what you're skilled at. And those two things, I think, are way more important than the classic sort of like branding approach of, you know, the shiny toothpaste sort of way of promoting a product. You're not this is important to remember. You're not a product. You're a human being. So for you, as a human being, we have to use different kind of rules and different techniques to bring you to life, to others. So the goal here is not the sale necessary. The goal here is to kind of, create a strong and enduring emotional bond with an audience. And the best way to accomplish that is to really bring yourself to the fore rather than trying to make yourself into a product.
Oh, keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing noises over here, but something might have happened. But again, we're going to roll with all these punches today, guys. Okay, I'm going to have the next question brought up, which was actually a question from one of our own clients, Mitch. I appreciate you being on here today. Obviously, you started your content journey a couple of months ago, not as a real estate agent. I think what you're doing is so fascinating. You're a real estate investor, and you're always looking for new partners and joint venture partners and agreements with other people. And so you're always on the hunt. And I love that you decided to use content and personal branding to really try to connect with other like-minded people, such as yourself. I think we have Marcus back. Is Marcus back?
I don't know what happened here. I got kicked out.
That's all right. That's all right. Thank you. Welcome back. I was just saying we have a new question coming up from a client of ours, Mitch. He had some questions about brand strategy and really about like what is the, how do you kind of focus how much money you should be spending on something like this? Because for a lot of our guys, it's that old cart before the horse kind of thing. Like, do you put the money up front and kind of test the bank and hope and pray that you get something out of it, or do you kind of wait and grow slowly? So the actual question is, what about social media strategy, building a plan to manage time and money while being authentic? Do you have any pointers for him?
I do. In my talk, I mentioned 3 things that really matter. It's the spark, it's the just publishable units, and then this whole thing about mastering the technology and listening. You have to understand only we as individuals can kind of resolve that spark topic, right? That's something that we have to do with our friends and family, with ourselves. But then where you need help and where you need to make investments is the mastering the tech stuff and the just publishable units. So, don't spend the money on the brand strategy. Spend the money on like help and support with content production. And I think that's where you come in, Laura. And that's why I think what you guys are doing is brilliant. I myself do not I should probably become a client of yours because, I think I've nailed the spark part, but I'm not very good at the content production side. Okay. So you want to spend that money on that level of your strategy and execution. Okay. The spark itself, that's something you can easily resolve with and for yourself. But when it comes to mastering the multi-channel strategy, as we call it, okay, and all the different types of content, that's where you need help. And that's where I would put the money.
Perfect. I think we're gonna leave it there, Marcus, because we're at our time. Guys, I appreciate the questions coming in, and I know a lot of you probably have more questions, and I think it's super important for you guys to really follow all of our speakers today because they're all doing some incredible things out there in terms of content creation. Copy them, copy me, use what we're doing, see what works for us, and then try to apply it for yourself and do it in your own way. I think, Marcus, as you said at the start about Gary Vee, I'm obviously a huge Gary Vee fan as well, but I understand that I'm not Gary Vee. I'm never going to be a 40-something-year-old male from Russia, I believe is where he's from. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? So I have to get super clear on what my personal brand is and where I kind of fit and play. But get the inspiration from other people. Marcus, I know you're crushing it on Twitter. It kind of makes sense, you being a professor and liking to lecture and all that stuff. So, guys, I want you to make sure that you're following him there. And we're going to actually put up his handle for everyone to see. So go connect with him, ask him more questions. And Marcus, I hope I did you justice today. And since our class, I hope I did you justice. I really appreciate you being with us.
Laura, very proud of you. Fist bump. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the day. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, guys, that was a whole lot to unpack. I mean, now you get a little tiny sense about, the charisma that he had and why I enjoyed that class so much. I just made a couple notes that I thought were particularly interesting just to kind of go over it quickly for you guys again. So number 1 was spark. What's your spark, right? What makes you kind of unique and interesting? Number 2 was the just publishable units. So giving away a small piece of you as the hero of your own story. And number 3 was in and around the tools, right? He talks about technology and how important it is to keep up with things and know what's going on. I do want to make it clear, although I appreciate Marcus obviously giving FTGU Media a kudos, that's not the goal of today. We're not here trying to push you to our services at all. We're really just trying to give you guys the information so that you can do it yourself. What really happened behind the scenes was that we were telling a bunch of real estate agents and mortgage brokers how we were producing all of this content. And we would give them all the trade secrets. We were like, this is who you need to hire. This is who you need to have on your team. If you don't have a budget to hire anybody, no worries. We didn't either. This is exactly how we did it. And then what we would find is like 3, 4, 6 months later, we would check up with those individuals. And unfortunately, they hadn't done anything. They didn't produce any content. We kind of asked them why, like, what's going on? And a lot of them would say, you know, things like, well, I didn't know who to hire. I didn't know where to start. I did a video and then I spent 3 days editing it and I just don't have the time for that. And so I just kind of want you guys to go into the rest of the day understanding that odds are it's really just you getting in your own way. And guys, this happened to me too. Like, don't think that I'm any different of any of you, right? Like, I got in my own way. I definitely overanalyzed too much, overthought some stuff, and it didn't allow me to get the quantity of content out there, which didn't allow me for the feedback. So that's my quick tip for right now. Our next speaker, I guess I have to kind of toot his horn because he just happens to be my business partner in the media company. And he also happens to be, I guess, my boss in the real estate company, although I definitely feel like I'm more his boss. He is the beauty behind my brains, as I like to put it, because he's the one that loves the camera. He really was our guinea pig in terms of branding him and making him top of the funnel to help us drive sales, to help us drive community, to help us better connect with our clients. And so without further ado, we're going to bring up Jazz Takar. We're going to do a quick switch over and we'll see him soon.
Take your phone. All right. Hi, I want to welcome everyone as well. And let's give a big shout out to Laura Stewart. Put it in the comments. She in her Instagram stories earlier today that she was maybe a little nervous or anxious. I think it was just excitement to put on a show for everyone who's watching right now live on YouTube. And that actually brings up another point in my head here now. What I want you guys to do is, you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor. Make sure to subscribe to the FTGU Media YouTube page. Why? Because this is where you're going to get so much more content coming up in 2022. You're going to get videos on how to produce video, how to do podcasts, how to do short form content. A lot of the speakers that we're bringing to you today, their content is also going to be coming on to FTGU Media's website, YouTube page as well. So do us a favor. You guys have heard me say this on my podcast that my mom loves when you press that red button, that subscribe button. Do us a favor right now to press that subscribe button, because we really want to make sure that 2022 is the year of you. Couple of housekeeping notes really quickly as well. I also personally want to give a shout out to the team behind the cameras today. We have Steven Rochester, we have Yas, Chiquita, Parsa, we have Zaza, and we have Remy, our content writer as well. Just a big shout out to everyone who's putting this event on. I know some people had a little trouble getting onto the link. I hope you're joining us now, and just let us know that the video and the audio and all that stuff is good. So let's talk about podcasting. I've been blessed enough to do this talk now for I'm going to say about 1,300 times in the last probably year and a half to 2 years. And as I was in the shower today thinking about how am I going to bring you value, and hopefully nobody just threw up with that visual. I know Steven gave me a little look right now, like, what are you talking about in the shower? But that's where all Jazz's ideas come from. As I was thinking in the shower, I was like, how am I going to bring value to real estate agents today? What was it about podcasting that changed my business? Why did I decide to do it? And so that's going to be kind of my talk for the next 15, 18 minutes. Please put in the questions that you might have for me and any of the speakers in the comments section, because we're going to make sure, as we've been doing with the professor, big shout out to the professor as well. I felt like I just got professed, if that's a word. I didn't get to go to Schulich, but at least I brought on a professor to my conference as well. So make sure to leave your questions in the comments, because we're going to do the best that we possibly can to bring you a lot of value. So as I was thinking in the morning, how am I going to bring you guys value on this talk today? I wanted to go back and talk about why I started podcasting. But just before I do that, let me tell you what is a podcast. A lot of people don't know. We get asked. Essentially, a podcast is an internet on-demand radio show. That's it. That's all it is. A podcast allows you to either be entertained or educated, or big shout out to Laura who coined the word edutainment. I think she coined it, on audio. So this way, when you're driving, you're in the gym, you're taking your dog for a walk, you can actually consume information through audio. It's been such a massive change in terms of how people consume content now, because if 3 years ago, there was only about 10%, I think it was about 8.5% of people subscribe to a podcast once a week. Right now in 2021, a little over 78.9% of people subscribe and download a podcast once a week. Think about the massive change, like how we consume content. I mean, for myself, I don't know if you can see any of the books behind me, but I no longer really read any books. I consume all my content through audiobooks because we can get so much more done. So if you're wondering what a podcast is, essentially it's an internet on-demand radio show where you, as a real estate agent, this is where I really want you to get the value from my talk today, is that you as the real estate agent now can control the messaging, can control the narrative that goes out to the world. But first and foremost, not even to like become a YouTube star or a podcast star. Like nobody's trying to be like Joe Rogan here. If you have those ambitions, fantastic. But that's not what today is about. That's not why I want you to do podcasting. I want you to do it because you can control the messaging that goes out to your clients. And you might say, well, Jazz, I'm new in the real estate business and I only have 50 clients. Well, look, the real estate business, I'm a realtor. I've been doing this for 17 years. I have a team with another business partner that I just saw come on, big shout out to Simos. You guys see the Greek guy with me on videos. Him and I have a team of 54 agents and over 11, 12 support staff. I tell you that because our database and our insiders that we've been cultivating for the last 17 years, it's a big number now. It's close to 10,000 people. But it never started out like that. It started out with one person and then went to 50 and then it went over and over. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I want you to do the content for your clients that you have now, the 50 that you have. It's not a matter of width, it's a matter of depth. Now, as you're going to hear other speakers talk about their specific platforms, podcasting for me, why I enjoyed it right at the start was because I knew that there was no cameras involved. So that's how I moved the needle, so to speak, in starting the production of content. I didn't like the cameras. I mean, there's 7 cameras on now. I know you guys watch a lot of my videos. And if you don't watch my short form stuff on Instagram, make sure to go follow me on Instagram because I do probably 20 pieces of content on all the platforms. But I think Instagram right now is one of Jazz's favorites. So make sure that you're following me there. What I decided to do was start with podcasting because it was audio only. Being in sales for 27 years, I've never really been told that I have the sexiest voice of all time, but nobody also told me that I don't have a nice voice. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to do the audio platform that is known as podcasting. However, about 6 months into podcasting, I've been doing it for 3 years now, I did decide to turn on the video to just record these conversations that I was having with industry leaders, real estate industry leaders, mortgage brokers, developers, lawyers, home inspectors, economists, other real estate agents about talking about their specific market. And what I decided to do was record it on video. Why? because then you can start the magic of repurposing. See, when you put something on video, now you have the actual long form content recorded like this. I'm going to take this 20-minute talk that I did today. I'm going to rip out the audio, put that on. And when I say rip out the audio, let me explain what I really mean there. I'm going to put it to a distribution software, a distribution site known as Libsyn. There's like 57 of them, but I'm going to use Libsyn. And I use Libsyn to then distribute that audio file to the iTunes of the world, the Spotifys of the world, because I know that there's a lot of awareness and people want to get educated through the platform of podcasting. That allows me to make sure I have content there. But the actual video that I have, this 20-minute conversation, well, it's going to go on my YouTube page as well. Why wouldn't I put the full 20-minute conversation on video? Because some people also like to consume content through video. I'm going to take the audio file and put that into a software known as Trint. What Trint does is give me the audio, gives me the transcription of everything that was said, because now I have the written word. Well, now what I can do with that is actually send that to my database within an email. Imagine you did a podcast every other week. Let's just say you did a video recording every other week for 30 minutes. Now, what you're able to do is send that file, that written word, that blog to your database. You can take little paragraphs and put those on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can actually take 140 characters that was written, put that onto Twitter, a little tweet action, screenshot that and put that back onto Instagram. So you can see by just doing one 30-minute conversation, and let's just say you thought really big and did it twice a month. So now you have an hour worth of video recording. You can get to anywhere from 10 to 14 pieces of content a month. And all you did was put in an hour of your time. See, as a real estate agent, in my opinion, you have two things to do. You have, at the highest level, you need to meet as many people as you possibly can, in person or digitally, and then you got to help them buy, sell, and invest. Everything else at one point should be delegated. But until then, until you're scaling up, you need to find ways that you can actually save time. Producing that 1 hour of video, so the 2 shows a month, you're able to do that. Why? Because all you have to do is do a recording twice a month. Now, a lot of people ask, well, who am I gonna talk to? What am I gonna talk about? If you want topic ideas, do me a favor, shoot me a DM in Instagram and just send me the DM that says topics, and I'll make sure my team sends over a little over 50, 60 topic ideas that you can take and have conversations with those industry leaders, such as the mortgage broker, the real estate lawyer, the home inspectors, economists. Why do you want to have these conversations? Well, you want to have these conversations because you want to be able to send this out to your database. This all comes back to one thing. It comes back that you need to get in front of your clients, because if you're not, then someone else in the industry is. You got to find ways to stand out. Think about the 76,000 real estate agents in the GTA, the 126,000 real estate agents in Canada, the 1.3 million real estate agents and mortgage advisors in North America. We're starting to look and feel the same. How do you differentiate yourself? You do that with the one thing that you already have, your uniqueness. Your face, your voice. Use that. Double down on that. I loved what the doctor said today. He said, make noise. You have to, otherwise you're being a secret agent. This is not a time to be 007. Like, you can't be James Bond here. You can't be a secret agent. You have to get out there and make noise. In 2022, how do you do that? On digital platforms. I found that podcasting being the one that I was the most comfortable with at the start. I think that's very important. I hope that resonates with, if there's one thing that you get from me today, it's that. Find the one piece of content, the one medium that you're going to be very, very comfortable with, because you'll be consistent with it. So for example, if you're going to be consistent with only writing, I'm okay with you just starting with writing. We need to move you to video, but we can bite that elephant. I mean, elephants are my favorite animal. I'm not into eating them, but if I was, it would be one bite at a time. So I don't mind you starting with just writing a blog if that's what you're comfortable with. And the reason I like if you write a blog is because now you're also building up scripts for when you go into video or when you go into podcasting. For me, it was just the most comfortable medium that I could use because I knew that I'm going to do this consistently. I also knew as a podcast host, it's one of the easiest jobs. The reason is because you have 3-4 questions you're going to ask each. Like I'm doing the heavy lifting now. So as a podcast host, though, you're not really doing much heavy lifting. You're going to ask the questions to those people that you're talking to, 4 or 5 questions. I can promise you that would go to easily 20 to 30 minutes. And you're just going to do that consistently twice. It's not that tough to be a podcast host. You don't need to get big names. Like I'm not trying to name drop here or give you a shameless plug. I've had some massive big names on my podcast, the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, the Patrick Bet Davids and Robert, like the list goes on and on. But I can tell you my most listened to episodes and watched episodes are with just regular Joes and regular Marys. I have an episode that is with a lady named Sue Murphy. She went from 0 to 11 properties in 2.5 months. It's a lot easier for people to relate to her. She in Toronto, owns a grocery store. She doesn't have a multi-billion dollar business. It's hard for like the average person to resonate and relate to somebody who owns those type of large corporations and businesses. But this episode of Sue Murphy is by far my most listened to downloaded episode. Why? Because people relate to her. What did I do with that episode? Well, anybody who ever wants to think about investing in real estate with me, I send them that audio. What does that do? Already builds the credibility. As I mentioned to you, I've been a sales guy for 27 years. So I've always had to fight uphill. I've always had to, build that rapport and that credibility. And we all do it. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes days to build rapport with a client. Now, with all the content that I produce with the podcast, people have already made the decision. They look back and say, okay, there's something about this guy. I do want to work with him. Or on the flip side, I don't even want to be close to the crazy Indian guy who waves his hands and he comes with all this energy and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to do business with him. How great is that? I'm not wasting their time. They're not wasting my time. I have people who say to me, I'll never work with you. You help investors in your hoodie and your t-shirt. For me, that's great. No time is wasted. On the flip side, the people that come into my office, they've already, the ice is broken now. They've made a decision subconsciously. You know what? I want to go learn more. It doesn't mean that I close everybody that comes and meets me, but at least they're okay with the way I look, the way that I speak. Like, at the end of the day, you can't really hide anymore. Like if I don't have anything past a high school education, I do have trouble spelling words. I want all my clients to know. I want every single one of you to know that up front, because if that bothers you, that's okay. That's okay. Life's going to go on. I'm not trying to get all 7 billion people on the planet. I'm hoping to inspire maybe just one of you today to take action. There's a reason there's a massive sign behind my head that says ready, fire, aim, because it's a reminder to myself and the rest of my team that you need to start to pull the trigger as much as possible and then adjust along the way. I know that screws with a lot of people because we grew up being told, look before you leap. Don't pull the trigger until you have the target all lined up. In business, in my opinion, in business and in content creation, pull the trigger as much as you can, because it starts the feedback loop. See, the quality is going to come out of the quantity, hands down. So this thought process that you don't want to put yourself out there, you're a real estate agent. You're a mortgage broker. You have to do that. You have to get out there and meet people. And 2022, the fastest way to meet people, in my opinion, and the most effective is on their time. Let them listen to a podcast, watch your video at 3 a.m. in the morning in their pajamas, and then you'll get your emails saying, hey, I would love to meet and sit down and talk to you more. I'm getting waved down by Laura that I'm going to go over time. So what I'm going to do is if there's any questions, put them into the comments right now. For the next 10 minutes, I'm willing to take questions about the podcasting and the content creation. I get a lot of questions about just real estate in general as a salesperson. As I mentioned, my team that I have, this is not to impress you by any means. It's more to impress upon you where all the data is coming from. My team and I do a little over 750 transactions, out of which I personally, from this room with a core group of 4 people, we write a little over 200 of them. So why do I mention that? Because I don't mind taking any questions on the macro level of sales and real estate, or you can go right into the micro of what to name a podcast and anything from that sort. Also, make sure to go and DM me right now on Instagram for a list of topics on video ideas as well as podcast ideas. But before we go on, I just want to make sure that the stream is good. Any questions, Laura and Steven?
Yeah. We got Elliot here. Let me just find it.
All right, Elliot. Big shout out to Elliot. I don't think we met before. I really look forward to talking to you. What's the question? Yes, if you don't mind, I can't really see the question. Sorry, buddy. What do we have here?
Is it best to film myself handheld or bring someone to film me?
Well,
if handheld, do you recommend a selfie stick?
I love this question. At the start, whatever's going to get you to shoot that video. What do I mean by that? If you're going to be someone who says, okay, I need to wait until I get my own videographer, then no. Like, the easiest thing to do is shoot a video just like this. The cool thing with these iPhones now and these smartphones is some of them are even better than all the cameras I have in this office. And so I personally just get started. So start with a handheld. They're like, the selfie mode is fantastic. And would I use a selfie stick, I think was the question. The answer is yes, because in case you're going to do a lot of shaking, it could get a little odd for the viewer. Get a selfie stick, then step up. I love this question because you're hopefully going to get started and you're not getting caught in paralysis by analysis. Just start with your camera on your phone, shoot a couple of videos. As you start to get more comfortable, then you can hire someone. You don't need to hire, like I have a full-time staff, two videographers and editors. I have 2 creative directors. I have 2 graphic designers. I have a content writer. Like, I take this stuff very serious. I'm obsessed with content because it's literally out of those 200 deals that I've done, Elliot, I'm going to say 80% of them not only came to me from the actual content that I wrote, that I do, but it reiterated my messaging that I was putting out there. So I really am making sure and wanting someone to take action today. To answer your question again, Elliot, just use a selfie stick and just use your handheld. Question from John: when you started your podcast, you did a lot of organic growth. Obviously now you have some ad spend. What's the percentage of organic? To you, John, I do 0 ad spend, even till this day. 3 years exactly into podcasting, 2 years into producing my micro content on the Instagrams and the Facebooks of the world. I till this day still don't do any ad spend. And the reason is because I just haven't got into it. I don't need it. I think we did some ads for this conference, but my actual personal content, I do no ad spend. I'm all about depth, not width. See, you could take my 10,000 people away from me today that I've cultivated over 17 years, I'll build it again. There's a reason that the company's named From the Ground Up, the media company, because I know how to build things from the ground up, but it takes time. It takes time. I don't need the ads, man. I don't want the cold leads. I'll just go connect with people. I always go down the organic growth and that way to do it, because it just makes me feel comfortable. I don't need to spend I don't need to spend the money on ads. I spend my money on all the people around me. So if you have money to spend right now, spend it on hiring that creative director, that multimedia person. Then later, if you feel like spending money on ads, you can go down that route. Hey, Jazz, how do you decide on your first topic for your first podcast? Great question. I'll tell you what I did. I turned on the mic and I spoke about my story. I spoke about, if you go to episode 1, I'm at episode 177. I know the crew doesn't like when I do shameless plugs, but I'll give you one. The podcast name, by the way, is Jazz Tack Podcast. It has 179 episodes now, guys, I believe. We're at 179 episodes. I'm on all podcast platforms. You can go to the first one, Michael, and you will see, big shout out to Michael Sestilli, by the way. Go to the first one, and I spoke about my story, my parents' story, father being a taxi driver his whole life, mother being a factory worker her whole life. And I just spoke about how they invested into real estate, which wasn't much, but my mother did something very well, in my opinion, which was always rent out the basement apartment. And so I just told that story. I think I went 12, 13 minutes. I was scared shitless. My voice was trembling and I was scared. And I probably didn't get comfortable until I'm still not that comfortable. That's what I want to get across to you guys. Even till this day, I've done over 5,000 videos. My team has a little over 12,000 hours of video content. And every time I go and do a video, my stomach turns a little bit. It's not a matter of not having the butterflies, in my opinion. It's making them fly straight as quickly as you possibly can. So doesn't matter what your first topic is, just talk about your story, get it out. Sukhman Singh, one of my paisans, as a realtor, in your opinion, what are some of the best topics of podcasts? Love your stuff, Jazz. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Look, we go by what we call the 60-40 rule here at From the Ground Up Media, where 60% of your content should be real estate, whatever you do, but we're talking to real estate agents, and then 40% around your passions, your hobbies, your likes and dislikes, and any other opinions you have, politics, religion, whatever you want. In terms of some of the best topics for real estate, just speak about educate, don't sell, educate the listeners and the viewers on the process of buying, selling, and selling and investing. And then also the community that you're in, i.e. if you're in Brampton, if you're in Surrey, BC, wherever you are, how about bringing on business leaders in that community? Talk to the pizza owner who's been there for 30 years. Ask her what changes have happened in the community, in the neighborhood. Bring on the insurance broker. Don't overthink this, guys. You're gonna do 2 podcasts a month. You need 26 people. 26 people. I'm gonna give you 14, 15 of them. You just gotta figure out the rest. Is that it? I want more.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions. Okay, guys, no more time. I have to be very respectful to Laura as the host today. I love everything that she's doing and the team's doing. Do me a favor, just shoot us an email at info@ftigumedia.com. That's info@ftgumedia.com with your questions. I promise you, I will get back to every single question that's directed to Jazz, and I'll make sure that the speakers do the same. All right. I think we have Giselle on next. Nope, I don't know. It's actually my favorite person in the whole wide world, Jaime. I love this guy. You guys are in for a treat. He's going to be talking about all things YouTube, but I'll pass it over to Laura.
Oh, we're just hopping in. Okay,
We're
on the fly today. I mean, woo! Normally we had a slide. I was going to come in. I was going to be wearing a different outfit. You guys were going to think it was all so, cool. But we're doing it this way because that's how we roll around here. Obviously, as you can tell, Jazz comes with a lot of energy, a lot of ideas. So like he said, be sure to drop us any additional questions that you have at info@ftigumedia.com. I also noticed that we've been getting some questions about how people can get show notes. I want you to know that after this, you guys are going to be receiving an email with the entire video recording. So you'll get to watch it again. And I have some tips for you. Watch it on 1.5 times the speed so you can get through it a lot faster. Listen to it more than once because that's how you're really going to immerse yourself in it. And I I don't really want you to be taking too many notes today. The idea here, guys, is to be getting the music of it. This is not a class. I know I had my professor on, and I was one of those people in class taking all those notes because I wanted those straight A's. This is not about getting A+ on anything, okay? This is about pushing yourself to do something in 2022 that you probably haven't been doing. Just take 1 or 2 little tidbits. You don't have to get everything. You don't need to be doing YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everything next year, like starting January. We just need to be doing little baby steps. So let's just take one thing from today if you can and try to execute on that. So next up, Jazz had it wrong. We got Jaime, my boy Jaime down in Texas, I believe he's coming from. Jaime, thank you so much for joining us. You, my friend, are a YouTube sensation, a real estate agent by day, but YouTube sensation by night. And I know you're going to have some incredible tips for people on how they can really win on YouTube. What I love that you're doing is that you really lead with education. And that's our goal here at REC Canada, which is the real estate team that I work for as well. And I know you're doing exactly what we always talk about. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're incredible. Thank you so much. This isn't my normal raspy voice, so my apologies. My voice didn't recognize that I needed to use it today, so it left me.
Jaime, you're talking to the raspiest voice of them all. I like literally didn't speak all week. I tried to be silent. So I totally get it. I will leave you with the stage, but you sound great. Do your thing. I'll be back in 20 minutes. In the meantime, guys, if you have questions for Jaime about what he's talking about, be sure to leave them in the comments. We'll try to get to as many of them after the 20 minutes.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much. This is an amazing event. And if you haven't done so already, go down to where it says subscribe and make sure that you do subscribe. It's something that you absolutely want to do. And please, please, please don't miss on that part. Today, we're looking at YouTube. YouTube has changed my life. It has changed the life of many of the agents that I work with. I actually wanted to showcase that to you today. So if we could use the slide number 2 that I brought with me today, that would be fantastic. I believe it's Steven. It's going to be helping me out with the slides. And as we're going through that, I wanted to showcase not only the power of YouTube, but how YouTube can actually work today. Oftentimes we get, hey, why should you get on YouTube? And we talk about it in an abstract way, but we don't do a good job of illustrating some real life examples. So if we can go to the next slide, you're going to see a graph of an agent that started on YouTube this year. And I want you to see a bit of persistence, patience, and really dedication in this graph. On the far left-hand side, I know it might be a little bit small for you, but on the far left-hand side, you're going to see when the channel was created, which was February 5th. The first video was not uploaded until the end of February. Now, the channel here, you can go on YouTube so you can see all of this for yourself, is Hola Franco. Cesar Franco is his name. It's not Hola, but shout out to Franco in allowing me to showcase his case study, where you see towards July there, towards the very bottom, you see that you start seeing some blips in terms of the graph, and then it absolutely hockey sticks higher and higher, where in a span of about 9 months, he has over 9,000 subscribers, and that's not the impressive part. The impressive part is not even the views, which is about 900,000 views. The impressive part is the amount of business that's being generated from this vehicle alone. He doesn't have to cold call a day in his life. He doesn't have to door knock, none of that. All of this is organic, and he has paid $0 in paid reach. So let me just reiterate, starting a YouTube channel this very year from scratch with no knowledge, with no skill set outside of what we're sharing with him every single week, he has a channel that's massively growing. Now, let's talk about if you wanted to reach this type of exposure, if you wanted to accumulate this amount of views, just from the views count, we can't really articulate the relatability, the loyalty that he's building through his fan base. If we go to the next slide, I want to illustrate to you what it would actually cost to reach these amount of viewers on YouTube. And there towards the very top, you're going to see that it's $27,000 to have this reach. So again, we're talking about 9 months. That's $3,000 every single month. just to reach 900,000 views. Again, we can't replicate the loyalty that he's gaining from every single viewer, which his videos are a little bit over 20 minutes in length. So he's a little bit on the long-winded side like myself, but he's a fantastic person that I absolutely admire on what he's building. So take that. But now if we go to the next slide and see what he's actually making now, which one of the parts is a little bit hard to see there towards the very top. In 2021, from YouTube paying Franco alone, I didn't share his exact number because I don't want to put out all of his business, but he's making a little bit short of 6 figures from YouTube alone. Now I understand we're all real estate agents. This is real estate. This is for real estate agents. This is just the sugar on top. This is just something that makes it so much sweeter. Next year, he's going to have passive income of over 6 figures from YouTube alone. I'm not talking brand deals. I'm not talking affiliates. I'm not talking about business. Now, here's what's important for you, real estate agents. This is where you're going to really start. If you hadn't believed in YouTube before, this is where you're going to really start wanting to create your YouTube channel immediately. So if we go to the next slide, you're going to see what actually matters to you as your North Star when you start a YouTube channel is generating business, getting buyers, getting sellers. And what I'm sharing with you right now is just a brief overview of what his channel is bringing him as a real estate agent. So 20 appointments per week, every single week. His schedule is booked solid. 8 transactions per month. And now we're really growing quickly. So we have to not only grow as a real estate agent, but from a real estate team. Again, this is all from YouTube, 0 ad spend. And now he has a nationwide referral system where there's plenty of agents that could use some of his referrals because he's speaking to a nationwide audience. And this has all happened from the moment that he started in February to now. You're starting to see how quickly it scales. 2022 is going to be explosive. It's going to involve at least 10 real estate team members from him alone. And I mean, we already talked about a little bit about where YouTube is paying him directly, but this is what actually matters to you. This is what matters to you in getting buyers to buy, sellers to sell, and people to work with. So this is what it can look like because it's working right now. So oftentimes the question comes up with YouTube, hey, is it working? Is it too late? It's certainly not too late, especially in the real estate space. People, your clients, your future clients need to hear from you because you have a lot to say. So what I want to illustrate why this even works, just so you get an understanding of where the numbers come from. If we go to the next slide, please, you're going to see why this works. There's over 2 billion monthly users on YouTube right now. To put that in perspective, that's twice the size of Instagram. It's a one and done model. The moment that you complete a video, which is not that difficult to do, all you need is a cell phone and you're on your way. Once you record that video and you upload it, you're good to go. Now you just go and make more and more and more. It's absolutely free. Franco didn't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay anything. Maybe as you level up and get a little bit of a set going with some cameras and things of that nature, that's an investment. It's not necessarily a cost to a Google Ads company or a Facebook to launch your ads for you. Similar to how Jazz, my brother from another mother, was mentioning, right? So his business has been organic, very much the same way as mine has, very much the same way the agents that I work with, that's what they do as well. Content is so important, and that's why we have an entire conference dedicated to it today. Now, when it comes to video, of all the content that you see out there, 80% of it is being consumed in a video format. So this supersedes the written word, the imagery. Video is absolutely where it's at, and it absolutely works. Now, if we go to the next slide, you're going to see why this matters to you. Now, once you have a YouTube channel, here's what you have. You have an asset that you own. It's called a YouTube channel. You can actually technically sell if you wanted to. Now you have an asset that you can control. The moment that you stop paying for Zillow leads, the moment that you stop paying Facebook ads, the moment that you stop paying Google ads is the moment that your brand dies. We don't want that. Now you can control that. Now you have viewers that turn into clients for you. You also have deeper relationships thanks to YouTube. And not only that, but you're actually curating content for yourself that you can actually email, that you can put on. Jazz was talking about repurposing, which I actually learned my repurposing strategy from him. So thank you, Jazz. Huge shout out. It's really helped out, where now he's got content for all of his social media platforms, for the TikToks, for YouTube, for blogging, for anything that he wants to do. And beyond that, he is actually benefiting from some additional income. So you can see that the power of this YouTube is not just putting up a video and hoping that somebody calls you. This is a business, and you can treat it that way. Now, as we're going through, I'm going to show you a system that's going to make it incredibly easy for you to create a video. I'm going to give you the exact workflow that Franco went through. Now, I need 2 favors from you. One would be to go down here in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe to the FTGU YouTube channel. They're putting out some amazing content, so please don't forget to do that. And the second thing that I want to ask from you is any questions that come up. We're going to get into Q&A very shortly, but make sure that if there's any questions, I'll be actually in the chat after my session's over, and I'll be answering them along the way. So don't leave a question go unanswered, because you have some top level content creators, top level creators, and business people all together that want to help you. And this costs you a whopping $0 outside of time invested. So make sure that you do that. That'd be huge. Again, subscribe. And then 2, any questions that are coming up, let us know. Alrighty. If we can go to the next slide, I want to show you the entire workflow on any video that you want to make. This is the exact workflow that you're going to go through. Can we go back 1 slide, please? And if you write this acronym down, I know that we don't worry too much about writing everything down, but this little acronym is going to help you make videos incredibly quickly. So just write down horizontally BOSRED, BOSRED. So BOSRED. That's the only thing I want you to write down. And what you're going to see on the screen here is the B stands for brainstorm. So we're looking at brainstorm, optimize, scripting, recording, editing, and distributing. The first stage in any video that you make, you're brainstorming. You're thinking of ideas to create. And Laura mentioned this. Our professor mentioned this. Jazz mentioned this in terms of getting content ideas going. Brainstorm is where you're going to start all of the time. Optimizing. I have an entire slide dedicated to optimizing, but specifically what I'm talking about there is identifying the traffic, identifying the thumbnail, and identifying the title, which we'll get to here very shortly. Now, beyond that, we're going to go into scripting. So once we've optimized our video, we're going to script. So we're going to write down what we're going to say so you don't show up and completely freeze up with a bunch of I don't know what to do. This way, you have a good sense of where you're going with your video. Record. That's the next step. You just turn on that camera and you record. You take your phone, turn it horizontally, and you're recording on your way. Beyond that, you go into editing. So you can get as really creative as you want and edit everything, or you can just do a 1 take. Back in my early days, I didn't know how to edit. So I would just practice. I would record and I would still screw up, but I would just upload it because I did not know how to edit. And then you distribute. So that's where you upload it onto YouTube. So if you do this strategy correctly, you're going to be making videos incredibly fast, and they're going to be actually watchable. That's very important to get to those views, to get to that level of booking clients, as you saw earlier with one of our channels. And that's just one of many success stories that we can point to. Now, if we can go to the next slide, I want to give you the optimize. That's that second stage. So again, brainstorm, optimize, script, record, edit, and distribute. We're looking at the second stage. This is optimization. This is really one of the most important stages. You would think that it would be scripting. You would think that it would be recording, but it really isn't. When you optimize, what you're answering for is, do I need to make this video? And that is you looking at the traffic. Is there demand for this? Is there demand for the idea that I just brainstormed? You're also answering for the thumbnail, meaning that thumbnail is basically, think of it like that billboard that you see on any interstate that you drive by, you don't notice the billboard until there's actually something pretty catchy, something clever. Very much the same thing with YouTube. That's what you see that stops your finger from scrolling, and that's when you start clicking. So you need to answer for the thumbnail. What does it need to look like? And this happens before you even create the video. If you can't imagine the thumbnail before creating the video, then you have no purpose making that video. That's how important the thumbnail is. And then the title, this is where you provide the value. This is where you give a good sense of what the value is that you're bringing from that video. So that's what you're answering for on the optimization stage. Now, as we get into closing, I know we're going incredibly fast, which is actually a good thing because my voice is going out here and there. If we go to the next slide, I just want to give you the videos to implement today. One of the big questions that comes up is, well, I want to get started with YouTube. I don't know where to start, what videos to make. I just want to answer that for you right here. Don't overcomplicate it. What's your most asked question from your clients when they work with you, whether that's a buyer or a seller? What's that question that you get every single day, every single transaction? Answer that in the form of a video and upload it to YouTube. That's how simple it is. And why do we want to do this? We're getting comfortable in front of the camera. We're exercising that video making muscle. And we absolutely know how to answer it because we've been getting that question every single transaction. So you know what you've been saying, right? So this is the most comfortable video that you can ever make. Your next video is wish I had known video. Wish I had known this before I bought my first house. Wish I had known this before I sold my first house. Wish I had known this before I got into real estate. It's an incredible video that is going to bring in your sphere into your world. Everything about video, everything about Dallas, Texas, everything about Texas, everything about the real estate buying process. The next one is the top neighborhoods in. So the top neighborhoods in Dallas, Texas, the top neighborhoods in Orlando, Florida. And then the last video is the cost of living in Texas, cost of living in Dallas. So you can see that you can create so many different titles from, this was my last slide, by the way. So you can create so many different titles from these implementable topics. So you don't have to go and try to guess at what you need to make next. So if you just remember this simple strategy, just remember boss read, brainstorm, optimize, script, record, edit, and distribute. If you can answer and go through that workflow every single time with your video, you're going to find a much easier way and a much faster way to make videos so it doesn't become a bear, a burden, an absolute just frustration trying to get a video out day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month. So we're going to turn it over to questions if that's okay. I think I see a few here. Or Laura?
I'm really appreciative of everyone like sticking to their times because I know we're all a chatty bunch, so I appreciate it. We do have a few questions here, so I'm just going to spitball them at you if that's okay.
Yeah.
First one from Samir. How much content should you create in order to see growth? How to keep yourself motivated to keep creating when you don't see huge growth as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just so you, in that screen that you saw for a little bit, we saw about 25 videos before there was actually a blip with his channel, with Franco's channel. Now it can be different for it, not can be, it will be different for everyone else. But what I tell agents that are looking to get into YouTube in a very significant way, you want to do 2 videos a week and don't expect results for the first 3 months. Let go of the outcome for the first 3 months because it's going to be a slow burn at the beginning. You might strike it in the first video, second video, third video, but we're not building our entire strategy. We're not bringing on editors. We're not bringing on everybody else banking on a viral video. I've yet to hit a viral video. And the same thing with a lot of the agents that we work with. So all that to say is don't expect a meaningful boon in views for the first 3 months.
That's so important. We continuously tell our clients here, guys, don't worry about things going viral. You don't need a viral TikTok video. You don't need a viral YouTube video. You just need to connect with your audience. You're going to do business. Even if you only have 100 people, but they know you, love you, and trust you, and they want to do business with you, and they want to refer you, that's all you really need to really set a good foundation. So that's excellent advice. Question here from Nick. Do you do any paid ads from your main channel, such as listing videos, or do you use a separate channel as to not affect your organic reach?
Great question. You can use your main channel, except the video that you're making, see it as that you're going to advertise on, see it as a commercial, because that's what it is. So if you put out a organic video to get views organically, don't run any paid traffic to that. That's a great way to kill your video, and it's not going to work. So create your video very purposefully as an advertisement, get clever with it, have some good calls to action, but make that video unlisted, meaning that when people go to your YouTube channel, they're not going to be able to see it unless they have that URL that you send them. So when you're running ads to this video, it's only going to get viewers from a paid perspective, but no one on your normal subscriber list, no one that goes to your YouTube channel can actually see it. So you're going to leave it unlisted.
Awesome. Our next question is from Christina. Hi, Christina. What apps are good for editing videos?
The one that you'll use, really. In editing, there's so many different software. Starting out, whichever computer you have, whether it's a Mac or a PC, they're going to have free editing software. Start there. Now, if you're looking for the standards, if you will, Premiere is over on PC and Final Cut Pro on Mac. And they're great.
Yeah, let's not overcomplicate it, right?
Yes.
Can you please share some examples of content for a loan officer? I don't know if you want to go down this path, but sometimes, just spitballing some ideas for some different content strategies is very useful.
I'll give a huge shout out to one of my good friends. He's actually a loan officer that creates content. He's about to hit 100,000 subscribers this month, actually. Kyle Seagrace with Win the House You Love. Just model his channel. I was actually on the phone with him yesterday. He was helping me with my channel, where one of his most successful videos has been how much home you can afford. So basically an affordability video where he took the concept of, if you're earning $50,000, how much home can you afford, basically. And that did so well where he got 250,000 views on that one video. So guess what he did? What if you're earning $75,000? So he started up in the ante, and that's been an incredibly successful series for him. So anytime that you can bring the mortgage, the complicated mortgage, into something that we as normal people can use, and you can do the math for us as a loan officer, we would absolutely love you for it.
That's great advice. You really thought on your feet there. I appreciate that. Okay, let's move on. How do you turn your videos into income? I think you touched on this a little bit, but maybe you can just give a quick summary there.
Yeah, so once your channel hits 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months, it's just the 4,000 hours of watch time that needs to be within the last 12 months. Once you have those two criteria, you can be approved to be paid by YouTube. So YouTube AdSense will be paid every time you get views. So that's one income stream. Another income stream is affiliates. Their affiliate is basically you selling or you using a link that a company provides to you. And as soon as somebody clicks on your link and they purchase a product from that company, you get credit for it. So think of it as a digital salesperson. So you can become an affiliate for everything, really. You can become an affiliate for Amazon, for credit cards, for other companies everywhere, brand sponsorships. So as you get larger, it's actually what we're looking at with Franco right now. We're looking for the appropriate brands to charge $1,000 to $10,000 a month. I'm sorry, $1,000 to $10,000 per video. But that's a little bit of a different strategy. Don't bank on that strategy. That's just, we're optimizing our audience that we're generating and really squeezing as much juice as we can from the YouTube channel. So you're looking at YouTube AdSense, you're looking at affiliates, you're looking at brand deals, you're looking at merch. If you have a product or a service to sell, you can do that as well. But don't forget, your North Star is generating buyer leads and seller leads.
Thank you, Jaime. I appreciate that. I do want to make mention to the people on here who are new, who haven't really produced any type of content yet, to understand that you don't need to be in a place where you're monetizing YouTube or any other platform yet. Just get used to getting yourself out there and then worry about this stuff after. So again, just take baby steps along the way. And for everyone else who obviously is doing that already, you know, maybe Jaime is giving you some better tips and tricks on how you can kind of up your game. Stewart Clappin. If we share video over multiple platforms, i.e. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, should the camera be horizontal or vertical? It seems different on each platform. So which is best?
Oh yeah. So please, Jazz, I hope you have a video on this, because if not, I'm gonna have to rip off your strategy and pass it off as my own. But Jazz has a fantastic way of repurposing that. Again, I used my strategy from him, directly from him. So Jazz, again, huge thank you. If you're going to drive traffic to YouTube, let YouTube do the heavy lifting. So what that means is, with the video that you create, if you're going to put it on your stories, so Facebook stories, Instagram stories, YouTube shorts, those are 3 platforms that you can go vertical with. So just take a wide shot, kind of what you're seeing right here, except crop the rest of this out. So in my stories, as you'll see, is my video, a portion of my video that's on YouTube, I cut it and I put it vertical. So that's my vertical side. That's for my stories. Again, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, and YouTube shorts. Now, the rest of the feeds, so the Instagram feed, the Facebook feed, LinkedIn, that's more of a horizontal platform. So then I leave that format the same way. So basically it's one video still, one video file, except we're just adjusting what people can see. So you can do that with both vertical and horizontal if you shoot horizontal. If you shoot vertical, you're screwed because you can't go horizontal.
That is a mistake I have made a few times. So I appreciate you mentioning that to everybody. Obviously, like you said, if you shoot it horizontal, you have a little bit more option. Jaime, I appreciate you being with us. I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm going to let you go. Again, guys, if you have any more questions or you want to follow and see what Jaime's up to, be sure to check out his YouTube channel and ask some questions in there. Be sure to engage with all of our guest speakers today because they love to give away all of this information to you for free. So again, Jaime, thanks so much.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Take care. Okay, guys, we're almost halfway through this Content Con conference today. And so I've been asked to kind of bring up some housekeeping, 2 housekeeping tips or rules. We don't like rules around here, but the first one, a lot of you guys are engaging with us on Instagram, and I just want to make sure that if you're doing so, if you want to take a quick video or a quick story, again, this is going to count as your content maybe for the day, guys. Be sure to take a story of what's going on, what you're watching, and add it to your stories on Instagram and hashtag ContentCon 2021. Steve, maybe you can just write that hashtag in the comments for us. Tag me if you want, Laura Stewart TO, and I'll be sure to reshare it. And that's how easy sometimes content creation can be. Don't overthink some of it, guys. Sometimes it's just about documenting your journey in the day. It's not about creating, it's about documenting. So be sure to do that for us. The second thing I wanted to make mention of, we've gotten a lot of emails and a couple direct messages from people who are watching today. They were wondering how they can connect with FTGU Media and just kind of ask us some questions around their content, what they should be doing, their branding. And so quickly the team kind of just came up with something. We thought we would give everyone the opportunity to do a strategy, a branding strategy meeting with us. In order to do that, guys, go to FTGUmedia.com/strategy. We'll put that in the comments. It's absolutely free. We'll probably take a couple days just to get back to everybody because I imagine there'll be a number of people who want to take advantage of this. You'll get on a call with one of our team members and we're going to take a look at what you're currently up to and give you kind of our best tips and tricks for what we think you can do going forward and how we think you can win going into the new year. So that was the second thing. Our next guest is actually one of the reasons why I changed today because I was a little bit scared. I was wearing my yellow jacket. I know a lot of you noticed that I made a quick change here, but this yellow jacket has caused quite a scene on Instagram. I posted it a couple weeks back, and my girl Giselle saw it, asked me where I got it from, and then she went out and bought the jacket for herself. So I wasn't even sure if she would be coming on today wearing the same jacket, which would have been a lot of fun, but I thought I would do a quick change for you guys. So that's why we've changed here. And Giselle is joining us. I believe it's from Minneapolis. Is that right? Minneapolis, is that what I wrote down? Yes, it is.
Minneapolis, girl.
Minneapolis, woo woo! I so appreciate you being here. I know you're going to bring the absolute heat, so I'm going to get out of your way. Guys,
Jacket.
she got the jacket. You see everybody.
I was going to, and then I saw you were wearing it this morning, and I'm like,
So
would that be cute? Would that be funny? And I'm
We
like,
could be
it's fine.
twinning.
I'm trying to be too kitschy. Like, let's just settle down.
Oh, we should have done it. It would have been really cute for everybody. I love that. But guys, see, that's kind of the, I think what you're probably going to talk about, and I don't really know your full spiel today, but, content shouldn't just be around what you do, right? It shouldn't just be about being a real estate agent. It should be about, I would say 60-40, but maybe you'll correct me on the ratios. 60% about what you do, 40% about things you're passionate about. I'm just going to let you take the stage. Do your thing, girl. I'll see you in 20 minutes.
I'm so very grateful to be here. If you are here, I just want to invite you to take a breath, stand up, shake your legs out for a minute. We're halfway through. You have had a ton of information thrown at you. And I always feel it on my heart just to make this comment, especially when I am at a conference, at a workshop, at an intensive where you are getting a lot of shit thrown at you. I want you to give yourself permission to not have to pursue every single thing that you learned today, but instead, I want to invite you to focus on one. Think about what is one gold nugget that you took away from today. And if you are as married to your Google Calendar as I am, what I want to invite you to do right now is I want you to put on your calendar tomorrow, Monday. And Laura, I think we're still picking up on your microphone, by the way, so we might have to hit mute at the home studio. But if you are as married to your calendar as I am, and if you're not, then this might potentially be your sign from God to start focusing on time block and scheduling, because the biggest excuse that we always get is, I don't have enough time. And I always challenge you back to say, are you sure you don't have enough time? Are you not managing your time well? And typically what happens at a lot of these events is you have pages and pages upon pages of notes, and then you never look at them again. And so I want to invite you to put on your calendar when you're going to review these notes so that you can start creating your plan of implementation. And I also want you to take a look at the common thread of every single thing that you've heard so far. And that truly is the power of video. I don't think you fully understand how powerful video is. It is the whole reason why so many of us are here. I have not met the FTGU team in person. I have never squeezed Laura, yet she has influenced me, not just fashionably, but also professionally. And I also believe that Jads is someone who I could call and ask for a favor, and he would do whatever I asked in a heartbeat. And so why is that? If you have ever on your mind used the excuse, but if I could just get them in person. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by social media. If I could just get them in person. The reality is that you can, and at scale, if you learn how to get comfortable in front of video. If you learn to be able to curate a feed where what you are seeing online matches what you are seeing offline. I want you to write that down. The online and the offline need to match. And I don't think you understand how powerful it is that all you need is this. All you need is this. I challenge you to pick this thing up. Don't check it, but just to prove the point that you have the only device that you need. If you have a creative team, if you have fancy equipment, congratulations. But all you need is truly this. And so really quickly, if we've never met before, my name is Giselle Ugardi. I'm an online performance coach. I'm based in Minneapolis. Giselle, what is an online performance coach? I help real estate agents, professionals, entrepreneurs learn all about personal branding, social media messaging, and most importantly, getting the fuck on video. And the funny thing is that I have been giving the exact same advice for 10 years. When I talk to you today about Instagram and TikTok, typically the response is, oh my God, not another platform. Oh, I have to learn how to do this now. No, You don't have to learn how to do a whole nother platform. What I need you to do is get really comfortable sharing yourself online in pictures and in videos so that when another platform comes along, you don't have to worry about adapting and becoming a whole brand new identity, but instead replicating what you've already learned here. Because 10 years ago, yours truly was in LA trying to get a job in the world of entertainment news, and nobody would hire me. And I found this tiny little platform called YouTube, which Jaime just talked about as being the vehicle for exploding his business. And at the time, it was a tiny little platform. YouTube was not a verb. Everyone and their mom did not have a blog. Influencer was certainly not a job title. And yet here were these extraordinarily average teenagers who had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers, and yet nobody was talking about it. And I remember going into that, having been a super polished journalist, host, producer, wondering how the fuck are these kids getting all of these subscribers when their camera sucks, they're rambling, they're not wearing makeup. Like, what is this? And then suddenly I realized the magic. And that was that they knew exactly who they were talking to, and they recognized a world beyond themselves. And so there are 3 questions, my friends, that anytime that you are about to upload content, I want you to ask yourself and answer. And I want you to grab a piece of paper, and a pen, and I want you to write these 3 questions down. What does this say about me? What does this say about my viewer? And how is this providing value? Now, here's the thing, and you might go, well, Giselle, there are so many dumb videos that go viral. What do you mean value? Value can come in the form of a lesson. Value can come in the form of a laugh. But the most important question there is, what is this saying about my viewer? If you can't answer that question, and if you don't know who your viewer is, then that is where the problem lies. Because if I'm being fully honest with you, so many of you, you're not creating content for a viewer, for a client, for an investor, for a potential agent, but instead you're making it for each other. You're also doing it because you think it's what you're supposed to be doing. And again, therein lies the problem. If this sounds familiar at all to you, please let me know that you are awake. Please let me know that you are alive. And also please introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know where you are tuning in from, because I very much look forward to connecting in the future. So what does this mean when it comes to Instagram and TikTok? Well, here's the thing. 10 years ago, I mentioned that for me, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my why. I don't normally go into the story, but I'm just going to talk about it because I feel it on my heart today. 10 years ago, I remember walking into an audition room, and I was looking for my big break, right? And I had a career in the world of television, spoiler alert, but I walked into this audition room and I remember feeling so good and so skinny, and my makeup was great and my hair was awesome. And I went there and I was in the final 2 of a major network production. Because back then we didn't have a bajillion channels and all the YouTubes. You know, when it came to reality television, when it came to news, when it came to programming, it was either network or cable, and that was it. And it was down to me and one other person. And I read that teleprompter like I wrote it myself. I said every single word and punched all of the right things. And at the end of it, the casting director looked over at me and just looked totally unimpressed. Like fully unimpressed. Here I was thinking I've got this in the bag, and he looks at me and he goes, honey, you know, you walk in here looking like this, and your body's like this, and your hair, you know, is like this. Anything less flamboyant, anything less spicy than Sofia Vergara, it's just underwhelming. You're not going to make it. Tell me, my friends, has anybody in your life ever told you that you're not going to make it for whatever reason? Maybe this whole real estate thing is brand new for you, or maybe you think that you are too old or too young or too brown or whatever. In that moment, I fully believed him. In that moment, I fully believed that he was right. In that moment, I fully believed that I wasn't spicy enough, that I wasn't flamboyant enough, that me as a Latina, I had to conform to a certain way because of the box that Hollywood had put me in. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward, though, to the part where the light bulb went off. And that light bulb was the realization that here was this person who looked exactly like me, who was continuing to put me into a box. But also the light bulb that went off when I realized, holy shit, No longer do we have to wait for the camera and the opportunity to share our story, but we have platforms like YouTube where rather than having to mail out my media kit, I can share links to people. Where rather than having to wait for casting directors, I can connect and tell stories to people. And it doesn't matter if I have 100,000 or 1 million subscribers, I can impact people's lives. And that's where Instagram and TikTok are the two most powerful vehicles right now, everybody. TikTok has put the sledgehammer on social media. Whereas I like to say, if anybody here is a fan of Lizzo, ooh, child, we are tired of the bullshit. We are so tired of it, especially after the last 2 years of what we have gone through. Where how wonderful it is. And if you are not familiar with TikTok, if you have not downloaded TikTok, my friends, I downloaded it and deleted it 3 times before, for me, I understood what it was. And so I'm going to break it down for you. TikTok is what's going to elevate you as an authority figure, and it's going to recommend you to the right people. How does this happen, Giselle? So here's the thing that I want you to understand. Instagram right now is going through an identity crisis. Anybody else notice that yet? Anybody else notice that Instagram is going through an identity crisis right now, trying to be everything and all the things to everyone? They are actually trying to be TikTok right now. There have been documents leaked where they are attempting to do focus groups to see what is the more enjoyable experience, Instagram or TikTok. And it continues to be TikTok over and over and over, which, by the way, I don't want you to dance. And by the way, more than half the platform is not children anymore. And by the way, the watch time on TikTok now exceeds Facebook and YouTube. Why is that? Because when you get into TikTok, the default feed is not who you follow. The default feed is called the For You page. The For You page is quite literally customized for you, not just based upon who you like and who you follow, but what you have been spending time watching and searching the most. And so in that sense, even if you haven't publicly acknowledged something, TikTok will know. And what I mean by that is, for example, when I bought my house a year ago, TikTok knew. All of a sudden, I was getting served content about buying a home, credit, decorating, staging a home in Minneapolis. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty sure location matters to you. I'm pretty sure that typically when you want to target someone by location, you have to pay a lot of money for that. How wonderful it is that if you're putting out content about home buying, investing, Airbnbs on TikTok and in a certain area, and if you upload strategically because the AI recognizes the words coming out of your mouth, sees the words in the caption, sees the hashtags you're using, it will recommend your content to other people who are watching that content. How wonderful that when you tune into TikTok, the whole thing is short form vertical video. And the latest research shows across all platforms that right now, people are more inclined to trust content that is coming from here rather than the masterful productions. And on TikTok, because your whole feed is short form vertical videos, if you don't connect, not in the first 30 seconds, not in the first 10 seconds, not in the first 5 seconds, if you don't connect in that first frame, we are out. We are out. We're going to the next person. So it's none of this, hi, I'm Kirsty. Hey, I'm Elliot. Give me the value. Give me the value. Let me know that you know who you are talking to. And so I want you to think, and this is where I was so politely say, ladies and gentlemen, please listen closely. If you tuned out for a second, I need you to listen. Come closer to the screen, okay? I'm going to say this so very politely. Nobody gives a shit about your monthly marketing report. Okay? Nobody gives a shit about your monthly marketing report. Nobody gives a shit if you are a top producer in your area. What they want to know is that you know your shit, you can sell your house, you can make their dream come true, and that you won't be annoying if you have to spend a long time with each other. And so if you can connect to somebody in that first frame, if you on your feed have a whole portfolio of videos that they can go through where they go, oh my God, I feel like I know you, Christina, before we have even met, then that is what's going to set you up for success. So how can you provide value in that first frame? It's showing your face, not a house tour. Okay, it's showing your face, it's showing your eyes, it's hearing your voice. It's not pointing to bubbles and text and dancing around. Because guess what? Those videos might get more views, and there are plenty of clients who come to me and they have all of these house tours that have the viral views. But guess what? If you haven't made a single dollar, if you haven't had a single person DM you saying, I want you to show me that house, then it does not matter. I want to see you. Give me the value. Have you ever had a client come in and ask you a question and you go, let me pull out my monthly marketing report? No, you just answer the question. Is right now a good time to sell? Is right now a good time to buy in a specific area? Should you buy a house with your spouse if you're not married? Does buying an Airbnb make sense right now? Do you have to physically be here in person to invest in an investment property? All of the basic questions, and breaking it down into terms that they understand. Hook them in. Let me say something. TikTok is what's going to make you the authority. Instagram is going to show the portfolio that is you. Instagram stories and going live is going to give us the behind the scenes to show that we made the right decision. Let me say that again. TikTok is going to elevate you as an authority figure. Instagram is the portfolio that is you. Instagram stories and lives are what is going to show us that we made the right decision because you have no filters to hide behind. And speaking of filters, y'all, they are fucking you up. Okay? They are making you think that you look different than you actually do. And then it comes time to hit that record button and you turn into a deer in headlights and you care about all of the things that nobody cares about because you've totally lost sight of the person who you are serving. No, you do not have to follow trends. No, you do not have to dance. No, you do not have to upload at a certain time of the day or use a certain hashtag. If you provide value, if you create engaging content that is shareable, that makes someone want to go look at this person, that's all that matters. And no, it doesn't have to go viral to be successful. And in fact, if you've learned anything from the previous situation here, you know, there are people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but guess what? One of my clients who has less than 1,000 followers gets more engagement on Instagram than some of my clients who have tens of thousands of followers. And every single time he posts, which isn't every single day, it's once a week, he gets a lead, a referral, or a testimonial. So ideally, where I want you to start with TikTok is I want you to upload 3 videos a week. And if we want to be smart about our time and energy, then great, we will repurpose those things for Instagram. We will film it on a third-party camera so that way we can upload to both. And if you really want to go all out, you can put it on YouTube Shorts. But here is the thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I want you to understand. I don't want you to leave here and feel like you have to be on every single platform and all at once, because what ends up happening then is you pump it and you dump it and the community is nowhere to be found. The community is where the gold happens. The community is where I would rather you dominate one, max 2 platforms rather than try to put every single thing recycled and refurbished or just scheduled on all the platforms and you don't even take the time to consume. And that's part of the issue. And that's where the community on TikTok is unmatched, where the community happens in the comments. The community happens when people leave you comments, you answer questions, you answer the DMs, you interact with them, you look at other people's videos, and they in turn give you more permission to be yourself because of how little they're hiding behind. Please, my friends, if you are watching this right now, and if you do Zoom calls, I challenge you to get rid of the fake backgrounds. I challenge you to get rid of the foggy backgrounds because, again, we are so tired of the bullshit. So that's my little rundown on TikTok. How do we go Instagram? Instagram, I want you to think about this as the portfolio that is you. Let me say that again, the portfolio that is you. And then we're going to wind down into Q&A, Laura. I know that we're almost at time here. I could go and talk about this for hours and hours and hours. Instagram, I want to be able to look at your grid, look at your bio, and instantly have a good idea of who you are. And that's part of the issue here. If your whole grid is houses, if your whole grid is houses with a sold sign, if your whole grid is Canva throw up templates, I don't know who you are. I have no idea. I have no idea. I want to see your face. I want to see the people who matter to you. I want to see properties you've sold, but I want to know the stories that happened. I don't want to see your logo. I want to see your face. And ideally, I want to see you on a video, knowing what it would be like to talk to you. Because here's the thing. Nowadays, when you get a referral from somebody, your friend says, oh my God, you're looking for a house. You have to work with my person. They're not going to call you. They're not going to text you. They're going to look you up on Instagram. And in fact, even when that person says you have to work with my person, they're probably not even sharing your phone number. They're sharing your Instagram profile, or they're sharing a link to a post that you created. So how are you sharing that story? If all you're sharing is a house that closed on it, I have no idea what your involvement was. Were you the buyer's agent? Were you the seller's agent? Was that the first house you looked at? Or has this house been on the market for a while? Were you disappointed? I don't believe you unless I know that you have been through shit to trust you with my shit. And then last but not least, stories. Really quickly, here's all I'm going to say. Stories, I need to upload 6 days a week, not 7, 6 days a week. At the most, 6 days a week. I want you to start using the stickers, especially polls. Watch your engagement soar. Why not 7 days a week, Giselle? I thought you were never supposed to have that plus sign. Here's the thing, my friends. That plus sign is going to reset your stories, but also reset your head. What typically happens with your stories is eventually engagement will drop off. When Instagram sees your engagement dropping off, then they will just continue to stick your circle at the back of the line, regardless of how often you're posting. So when you take a day off, not only does it give you a clarity break for your own sanity, but also if you then, your next story you upload has a poll in it and people all of a sudden start to engage, you will see your engagement reset and soar. But here's the thing that I want you to think about, and here's what I'll leave you with. I don't just want you to think about the people who follow you. I want you to think about the ones who don't yet. And that's what's so important about TikTok. You are guaranteed to get in front of people who don't yet follow you. But that's also what we need to think about with Instagram, because it's not just about the people who already know who you are. It's the people who are creeping on you and who are actively trying not to like your content. And so that's why we can't get carried away with the likes and the views here. Instead, we really need to figure out what are metrics that actually matter. Write that down. What's a metric that's actually going to matter for me? Is it the amount of posts that you have per week? Is it the amount of DMs that you're getting? Is it the calls that you're getting? Or most importantly, the dollars in the bank account that are going up? The team members that are growing your team? What are the metrics that actually matter? So I want you to think about, again, those 3 questions. What does my profile say about me? What does my profile say about my audience? And how is this providing value? Y'all, I am at time. I'm pretty sure we're going to get to questions, and we have a lot. I gave you a lot in a very short amount of time. But again, get on TikTok if you haven't yet. Go explore. Understand it's not going to make sense at first. They're going to give you contrasting information because they want to see who you are. They want to see what you're about. But once TikTok knows you, it will read your soul. And it could very, very well transform your business. It certainly has with mine. All right, my friend, I see you popping in there. Come on back. Let's go. I can't hear you, but we just went on a journey.
One sec. We're on now. You can hear me?
We got you.
I just said, holy shit, Giselle, that was incredible. You gave so many good tips there. And in such a short period of time, I was going through the questions. Everyone's writing fire emojis. Your energy is infectious. Like, obviously the camera loves you. Obviously everyone loves you. And I think you already answered actually a lot of the questions that we got already. So I'm going to kind of just spitball a little bit here. For people who are saying, well, I'm not like Giselle. I don't necessarily have this infectious personality. You know, what can I do to get on camera to still engage with people through the camera? What's your tip for that?
You know, that's also part of the mind fuck, is thinking that you need to be loud or flamboyant or that you need to speak exactly like I do. And that's really not true. You know, think about your clients. If you have a client who is more soft-spoken, they're probably not going to want somebody like me. There are some people who are like, oh my God, Giselle is so fucking annoying. Great. The reason why someone would want to go with me is the reason why they would not want to go with you. And the reason why they would not want to go with me is probably the reason why they want to go with you. And so what I don't want you to do, and this is where a lot of real estate agents get really in their heads, is there's that whole concept of the repurpose and what is it, rip off and R&D. What am I thinking of, Laura? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see someone doing something and you think, oh, well, it worked for them. It's going to work for me. It's only going to work for you if you put it in your own style. So when you get on video, I don't want you to think about, oh my God, I have to be the loudest. I have to dance. I have to wear a different color. I have to change my outfit. I want you to think about, if my client FaceTimed me right now, what would they see? If my client FaceTimed me right now, what would they see? In some cases, it's going to be a messy car or kids screaming in the background. In some cases, it's going to be you in your car, you in an open house, you cleaning whatever. But if my client FaceTimed me right now, what would they see? If we're only seeing the perfectly primped, suited up you, and then all of a sudden you run into your client at the grocery store, it's kind of like when you would run into like your teacher at the grocery store and you're like, oh my God, you have shorts. You know, show a few more sides of you so that way we know that you are a human. And what is it? Here's something that I also feel like a lot of people forget. What is it like to work with you? That's where the personality comes into play as well, Laura, is what is it like to work with you? Do you have any content on any profile that is sharing what it would actually be for me to work with you? There are some of you who your specialty clients and your own unique style, it is numbers, it is data. You barely hang out. They just tell you what to do. They give you their money and you are out. There are some of you who you are holding your client's hand. It feels like you are their therapist at times. And you are taking them every single step of the way. You're answering every single phone call. I have one client who you have to have a 2-hour sit-down meeting with her when she chooses to work with you. And she takes you on a deep dive interview. Another client who he will not answer his phone between 3 and 5 o'clock because that's when he's picking his daughter up from school. And as a single dad, that time for him is sacred. He does not answer his phone. And so showing your boundaries, showing your values, showing what your style is, that's what's going to attract more of the right humans. Are there going to be some people who go, oh God, really? You don't answer your phone between 3 and 5? Probably. But you're probably going to get more people who go, oh, you don't answer your phone between 3 and 5. I should do that. I respect that a lot. So what are we doing to attract more of the right people? And the way that we do that is by sharing what the actual experience is, working and knowing you.
It sounds like, you're really promoting people to be more their authentic self. And it's kind of funny because when we started producing content around here, I think I went through like an Instagram crisis myself, identity crisis myself, where I was like, I need to have the hair extensions. I need to have the fake eyelashes. And it took me forever just to get ready in the morning. And then if I didn't do my makeup that day, I didn't want to shoot something. If my hair looked out of place, I didn't want to shoot something that day because I thought I needed to represent and portray myself in a certain way to the public. And I think that kind of messed with my head a little bit because it didn't allow me to produce anything because I probably only look good enough to be on camera one day a week, right? And so I think it's kind of like, guys, we're all human. If, like you said, if I'm going to meet you in person, I'm going to see what you look like. And it's not always going to be in that perfect, this type of picture, right? Where we're with our suit and our jacket and we're on the billboards and we look perfect for the day, right? So try to
please,
engage
by the way,
people.
as you said that, not to drag this on longer, your profile picture, please smile. Smile. Okay. Like you being tough guy or you being serious, like just smile. Show me that it's not going to be miserable having an extended period of time with you, because especially in the market that we're in right now, it's possible that you're going to be spending months together. So ultimately what people are trying to figure out is, would I mind spending an extended period of time with this person? Would I mind sharing my biggest secrets with this person? Would I mind potentially crying in front of this person? Who does your client need you to be? And it's not a logo and it's not a house. It's not a top producer either. One of the most valuable questions that I ever got from one of my clients is she goes, and I think this is also important for you all to hear. She goes, Giselle, have you ever sold a house before? Have you ever sold a house? And I said, no, but neither have your clients. Neither have your clients.
Oh, I like that.
If you are a brand new real estate agent, you need to own every experience that you've had prior to and figure out how you can make that your strength. Because for me, and this is also why my clients, love me and why I love working with real estate agents, is listen, if we are trying to portray you or share a message and I don't get it, when at this point, it doesn't matter if I haven't sold a house, but if I also now spend hours out of every single day with real estate professionals and I still don't understand what you're talking about, words like inventory and equity and blah, 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 blah. If I still don't get it, and even being a homeowner investor myself, we need to break it down into terms that they would understand. So I'm so grateful to be here. I love you so much. And
I just have one more thing. I know I want to keep us to time too. I just have one more thing I want to bring up because it's so funny. when we go to produce the content, right? And then people think they turn the camera on and they have to nail it. Like they have their speech, they wrote it out, or they have it transcribed on a video and they're reading it and they're going, like they want it to be perfect. And then they mess up and they have to do it again and again and again. And what I find is that's really the part that holds people back, because it takes them like 4 hours just to produce one little piece of content. And I want everyone to realize, guys, it doesn't have to be this hard. Like after we took our first break, when we had my professor on, the team said to me, Laura, you didn't even introduce yourself. Whoops, I forgot. I was so excited that I just started going, right? Things happen in life. And if you're sitting down and you're talking with a client and you come in and you're like, nice to meet you, and you start talking, and you fumble your words, or you say or you say ah, you're not gonna say, hold on, we have to stop this. I have to go back out and start all over again. You're just gonna keep going. Is there a time limit that you put on yourself or that you recommend to your clients on how much time they should be spending on content?
Absolutely. I recommend that you time block all of it. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, no more than an hour, or give yourself a limit on takes. And in fact, here's the funny thing. So, I have a 5-week program called the Real Estate Content Accelerator. And in my first video, I actually fumble on my words. Now, I could have been like, you know what, let's film it. But I kept on going. And I didn't mean for that to happen, although I couldn't have staged it perfectly if I wanted to. But I did that to prove a point. And in a lot of my videos, you will hear me stumble on my words, but I keep on going, because if we were at lunch, if we were on a FaceTime call, if we were on a Zoom call, and I lost my train of thought, if I had a brain fart, if I stuttered, if I said, if I took a moment, let me think about that. That would be better connecting with you. And oftentimes that grounds us than you reading a script where I see your eyes moving. You're not even connecting to camera, or you're looking at your reflection the entire time. And that, like, and so I really want to challenge all of you today to, this could be your piece of content. But my biggest thing is, and what I'll end with is something that I always say at the end of any talk that I give, is the best thank you that you could give, because I have a lot of people who are in the comments and they're like, this was amazing, this was awesome, this is wonderful. The best gratitude that you can give is showing your receipts. And by that, I don't mean buying my products or signing up for coaching. If you do, great, congratulations. But what I mean is the receipt of implementation. Great that you can listen to all of these awesome humans. The best way you can say thank you to Jaime, the best way you could say thank you to Laura, the best way that you could say thank you to Jazz is show us the implementation. Show us the story, show us the video, show us the TikTok, show us that you're actually doing it and falling on your face for however many times it takes. You can still see my videos from 10 years ago on YouTube and they suck. And my voice is elevated like 10 octaves because I'm so nervous and I'm like 40 pounds less. And I am so in my head, but I leave it there because it shows you and it shows me how far we've come. But if you don't start today, if you don't start yesterday, then you're going to be sitting here 6 months from now saying you wish you would have started today. So that's my challenge for all of you.
Giselle, thank you so much, guys. I know I saw in the comments that you're loving all this information. Be sure to follow Giselle on TikTok and on Instagram, because she's giving away all of these tips and tricks nonstop every single day. So follow her there. And like she said, be sure to document something today. Tag us. Let us see what you're up to. And then we're gonna support you on your journey as well. So Giselle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. I see my girl Judy Fox is in the house. So appreciate you guys.
All right. Our next speaker, Judy Fox, I have coming up onto the stage, and she is a LinkedIn expert, which I gotta be honest with you guys, I need a little bit of help on my own LinkedIn page. And so she's gonna talk about quickly for maybe the first 10 minutes about her journey, her story on LinkedIn, what's worked for her. And then we're actually gonna go through a live assessment. She's gonna take a look at my own LinkedIn profile for you guys all to see. She's gonna tell me where I'm going wrong. Maybe if I'm doing a couple things right, she'll let us know. But Judy, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and loved the energy from the last one. So let's keep it going. Giselle crushed it.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give the floor over to you. Keep it going, girl. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Can I share my screen?
I gotta share.
Oh, we gotta share it for you. Are you trying to share LinkedIn?
Totally fine. I can just talk. I don't have to share my screen. So, all right. I want to kind of move the conversation just like what Giselle was saying, where we were being real on camera. And when people think of LinkedIn, they think sometimes of script or video and all those things. And I just want to like double down on it is real. And the best word you can flip. So instead of calling LinkedIn is professional, because I hear that all the time. It's like, raise your hand if you hear LinkedIn is professional. I don't know what to do there. Yeah. Replace it with LinkedIn is for leaders. Your content, your TikToks, your YouTube videos, you're trying to show up as a leader. You're trying to show people you can support them. You can get them more business. So a little bit micro moment about me is I am a top 10 LinkedIn business coach. Yahoo Finance announced me as that. And 18 plus years in business development and sales. I started my career as a chemical engineer, and I have a master's degree in business sustainability. So from the perspective of sustainability, I'm going to speak about, because I do believe LinkedIn is a place that you can repurpose your content. If you're active on any social media site, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you can be active on LinkedIn. It is not a place that you have to push out content every single day to be extremely sustainable. And I will tell you, I took 4 months off this past summer because I just needed a mental health break. And I came back and my next post got 40,000 views. It is not a place you have to constantly shove content down people's throats. You are a leader on that platform, and that does not require constantly posting. All right. Leadership is going to get you visibility. And here's why. I love the quote by Maya Angelou, which is, people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they'll remember how you make them feel. So hopefully, encourage from the talks today, you feel supported, you feel ready to take action. Those are feelings. If you notice, most of the people speaking are making you feel something. That's why you're blowing up the comments. That's why you're responding and reacting. We don't normally react to facts. We react to our feelings. It unlocks something. We hear the word unlock and we want to do something with it. That's how your content can do for people. So the best thing I'm going to tell you is think about having a leadership voice. And I'm going to give you 3 voices that can help you make people feel. I'm going to tell you what to post, but before we do how do you post a listing? How do you post that you sold a home? How do you make somebody feel about your announcement? How do you think through that feeling? And the best way I tell people is, number 1, think about literally, how do you feel? Are you excited? Are you surprised? Are you shocked at your journey? Are you grateful? There's actually a wagon wheel of feelings that you can Google that literally will just, if you Google feelings, because it's a therapy tool, you literally will find feelings and you can just pull one of those feelings. But the other thing I'll say is the 3 voices that I was mentioning. People are either curious. So a curious leader is going to lead a conversation opening up with a curious question. And hopefully my dog is not barking too loud. I think somebody just knocked on something. Okay. So a curious person or curious leader is going to lead their posts with curious questions. That's what fills up the comments on LinkedIn. And it's coming from a place of, you may also be a leader. So if you open up with this curious energy and vibe on your post, it's going to translate into the comment section. The second voice is what I call the creator. You're creating the action steps. If you wanted to give somebody one piece of advice on their first steps for how to choose an agent, you might give them step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1, ask your, if you're moving to a new city, ask your HR representative if they know an agent. Step 2, maybe the next step is, Google or something, and give them some phrases for why you think these are the phrases to use to Google. Maybe there's certain things that you know. And then third step is, how do you kind of vet them? Maybe check out their testimonials. So there's 3 steps, and you broke it down for them in a LinkedIn post. LinkedIn loves that. That can get shared. So giving people these micro steps to accomplish one thing, 3 myths of the industry, 3, I'm coming up with the number 3 a lot, but you get the picture. The next one is the final one, number 3, haha, is the coach voice. Now, the coach voice is coming from a place of resource. You either have a breaking news, industry updates. I mean, I'm following people online in real estate just because I'm interested in what is the market doing? Is there going to be a bubble? Is there going to be a crash? Is there going to be correction? Is there a new update to the rates? Is there what is happening in the industry? Is there a new regulation coming out that's going to affect a certain sector? I mean, I follow real estate in other states than the one that I live in, and I'm not even an agent. I did work for 10 years for United States Gypsum, which is sheetrock manufacturing, which definitely got into the building starts and industry. So that probably is why I follow a lot of it, because I find the industry just as a indicator of what's happening in our lives. And I think it's important. So yeah, I love following what I consider the coach voice online. So hopefully that unlocks how you think about content. And then I'm going to give you an acronym. So I have the hashtag Fox Rocks online. And so ROCKS, I want you to, so what to post is always going to come up. Number 1, the R stands for relatable. Share a story, share a before and after of a property. Be relatable, R. The O is have an opinion. We want your thoughts. If you have an opinion about something happening in the news, it comes from your opinion. Here's what's happening, and here's what my thoughts are. Here's my thoughts on going back to school and getting, XYZ degree to help in your industry and your job. Having an opinion about what you would do different if you were just starting out. That's an opinion piece. Comments are actually what to post on LinkedIn. If you comment, it shows up in the news feed like it's content. I mean, people rush to the comments on a TikTok. People look at the comments on Twitter. It's commenting. We forget that literally is what to post on LinkedIn. When I said I took a 4-month break and I came back with 40,000 views, all I did during those 4 months was comment. That's it. But that's still considered posting on LinkedIn. That still keeps what we call the algorithm and the goal of the platform, people on the platform, commenting. It's not just your post that keeps people on the platform. It is commenting. I'm going to double down on commenting. It can change your life. Knowledge is the K, ROCK. Breaking news, industry updates, just like I mentioned with the coach tone and the coach voice, you are a resource for people. People will trust your content when they see your posts. Oh, wow. They are always an amazing resource that I need to constantly stay in. I need to follow their account. It gives us this initial feeling of, I don't have time to read the news. The way that this person breaks it down is amazing. And I love how they deliver it. So I'm going to follow them for their knowledge. They can get their news a lot of places. Be the place they get the news. And that is a great what to post on LinkedIn. Even if you see your peers posting that same knowledge, the consumer does not see all of your peers. It is okay if your peers are posting the same knowledge. There is room enough for all of you. And we all deliver it slightly differently. So not even slightly, dramatically differently sometimes. Finally, ROCKS, the success. We actually want to celebrate with you. When you think about the office space, think about how many times you might have gone to the conference room to celebrate a promotion or to celebrate somebody's birthday or to celebrate anything. We love celebrating on LinkedIn just like it's the office space. So if you are listed as a top 100 agent or your success, you're going to be featured as a speaker at an event, celebrate it. Come from a celebratory energy. Instead of being like, I am speaking, that's facts. We don't want facts on LinkedIn. We want, I am excited to be speaking. Give us an emotion. Tell us what you're feeling, and then we will feel it for you. You can literally say the words, I'm celebrating a major milestone today. We love it. Absolutely love it on LinkedIn. Hopefully that unlocks a post for you. I know that I love the kind of quotables that I started with. So the best quote that I tell people is if they're struggling or they're saying, how come I'm not getting any engagement, no likes, no comments? The first thing I tell you is show interest in others and they'll show interest in you. I can't remember where that quote comes from. I'm sure I have the name somewhere, but go out and maybe start with networking with some peers, because that peer-to-peer energy, sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to my ideal clients on LinkedIn. But to be honest, you actually can go further by staying in a network of peers, because when LinkedIn thinks of, hey, we have a news feature, there's something happening in the industry, who are the top people that are always kind of speaking on it? And they elevate all your voices. There might be like a summary from LinkedIn in the LinkedIn news saying, here's some of the top 3 agents who have posted on this in California, for example. And they're going to feature you along with your peers, which is fine. That's how LinkedIn is promoting the voices of the coach or the resource or the breaking news industry. So networking with what you consider to be great people in your industry, maybe people ahead of you, maybe people that you might be mentoring behind you. Network with your peers. Again, you can choose who you want to network with, or it could be parallel partners, maybe mortgage suppliers, but you want to network in that area. So, all right, Laura, do you want to come back on? Because we can definitely go over your profile, and let me know if anyone has any questions, because I would love to also make sure we have questions coming in, because we're going to get to that. Oh, I can't hear you all of a sudden.
I really appreciate you talking about LinkedIn, because I think it's a really huge missed opportunity for a lot of people. I myself was kind of like, just like you said, like, isn't that just where like you go to get jobs and stuff? It's completely changed. And so I appreciate you going over all that. We're going to be bringing up my very own LinkedIn profile, and you can kind of ask Steven, what you want him to do, and he'll kind of navigate the page. But I had a quick question for you, Judy. Where are your fox ears?
Right here.
Oh, there they are. I was going to say,
I got to get my ears organized there.
Come on, there's all these foxes in the background. And I was like, where are the ears today? See, guys, this goes to show like personal branding. This is what I know her as. And it's finding those things that make you kind of unique and different from everybody else, and have some fun with it. Like, I'm on my third outfit of the day because I simply like fashion and it's fun for me. And hopefully you guys have had a fun time watching it. But if you're more like Jazz, who was on earlier, and you like to just wear a sweatshirt, like, do that. Judy, you like to wear fox ears, do that. Like, do whatever makes you feel comfortable and confident, and have some fun with it. So, Steven, let's bring up my LinkedIn profile for Judy to see. Can you see it there, Judy?
Yeah, that's your content. Can we go back over to her profile?
We're starting with the profile here.
Yeah, we're gonna go to
here
her
we go.
profile.
I'm in the hot seat here. Woo!
Woo woo. All right. So what I tell people all the time is optimize the above the fold. So above the fold is before we ever have to scroll. So let's just start literally with the banner, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So
have a nice jacket.
Not the headline. We're literally talking about the banner. So yeah, double click on the banner. Perfect. All right. So what we notice is, first of all, love the energy, love the big arms. That's very welcoming, very open body language. I absolutely think your branding and your imagery is amazing. Oh, hold before you exit. The thing I want to flip is we already have your name by the time we land on your page, and your name is being like splashed up there really big again. But I'm having to work harder to read the words entrepreneur, realtor, and podcast host. Make those the thing you're getting more of. You want more of that expansion versus expanding your name. Let's expand what you serve and what you offer people. And I can quickly know, oh, I'm in the right spot. So I love your name, but we've got your name down below. So got it?
Got you. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Thank you.
All right. And I love that it's white and readable, because on that darker background, we want it to be readable. That is the key. Readable. Don't make my eyeballs. I mean, I'm 45 years old. My eyeballs are starting to struggle. So I love your name, that you've got it clear right there. So like we have it right there. I love that you also double down entrepreneur, realtor, podcast host. The only thing that you might consider, I don't know what your search results look like, but the number one place for being found in search is that title line right there, entrepreneur, realtor, and podcast host. So if you have any other keywords that your ideal client searches for, that is the number one place.
So here, would you want to put something like your location? Like if I'm selling, properties in Toronto, should I have that written here?
Absolutely. Yes. If you think anyone is Googling, because Google, you will show up. And actually, when I Googled you, you were the first line on Google. The LinkedIn account, not
I'm
your website.
Googleable.
Yeah. So when I
Yay.
Googled you, I typed in Laura Stewart, real estate, Canada. Like I just typed in those words. I guess what somebody types in might be interesting to you. So I typed those words in and your LinkedIn account came up first and then your website. And your
guys,
website.
that's the power of LinkedIn here, right? To Judy's point, like that's what's coming up first. So make sure that you go back and do an audit here for yourself, but continue.
Well, I was going to say the other thing about Google and why people think, oh, I don't know what to do on LinkedIn. If all you have time to do is just polish this upper portion, people are going to Google your name when they get a referral. And if they find your LinkedIn account come up really soon, they're just going to click on it to confirm you are who you say you are. So it's not about making LinkedIn perfect. It's not about posting for an agent. If you simply just want to make sure that you don't lose anybody that's doing a little bit of due diligence on you, because believe me, we're probably all doing it now, just make sure it's clear on the above the fold. You say you are who you are.
That's a good point. I actually say that, when we're posting stuff on Instagram, and even if you're not posting something related to real estate, like people are going to do what we call a digital deep dive on you, right? They're going to figure it out. They're going to go to your profile if they like something, and they're going to find out some way, somehow, what you do, who you are, where you live. And so you might as well make it easy on them. So that's some great tips. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, scroll down a little, but don't go too far, but keep going. Okay, hold the horses now. So we have the activity section. So what's missing is you have to add a section. There's actually a section missing that you get access to, but you have to click a button called add section. So because I'm not signed in as you're the only one signed in as you, I guess.
You know what? I don't even think Steven signed in as me either.
Which is fine.
What's the button? Like, where would we find
There's
that?
something called add section. So when everybody right now everybody's looking at their LinkedIn profile, I guess. But
They better
right
be.
when you look at your LinkedIn profile, there's something called add section. So is it Steven? He's going to probably open up another profile so I can show you what a real estate agent's profile section that I want yours to look like, Laura.
Okay.
So
Steven,
open up
can you open
another
up a new
tab. Maybe another tab would be easier so we can flip back to Laura. Cool.
One sec. He's opening up another tab as we speak, and we'll share that screen in a second. Can you guys see that now? Yeah. Okay, who are we looking for?
Barry Wolf, BARRY WOLFE. Net lease. Mm-hmm. Okay, so click on him to open him up. Yeah, perfect. So if you scroll down, you're going to see the featured section. See how you're missing that section?
Ooh, I like bar graphs.
That section is gold. When I say gold, it is literally, it's like having an Instagram profile and no link in bio by not having the featured section. So you want to turn the featured section on because this is how people are going to figure out what you do and who you are. So he has what I call the perfect 3 features. And I'm going to go over what they each are really quick because I want you to do this because I already looked at your website, Laura, and you have these features. Feature number 1 for him and for anyone, I think if you just want to copy this, it's modeling after success. He has a very successful account. And yes, I did do this. This is my work. So obviously I'm going to profile a client.
Good job.
Exactly. So he has a post that's done really well. This is an opinion piece. If you want to see an example of sharing your opinion, this is a great post. It obviously has like 50,000 plus views. And he featured it. It's what I call a cold lead. The second one in the middle is a warm lead. A warm lead who wants to actually maybe consider hiring you as an agent. They're going to go to your testimonials. So send them to your website. Give them directions, even if you can't auto link on your website, Laura, to the testimonials, you have them on there. You can just say testimonials with a little note. You get to control what this says right here. So you can actually say testimonials, scroll down to the middle and see my testimonials. I don't know if they auto jump right there. Does that make sense, Laura?
Yeah, sure does.
And then the final one is you have your either available properties, or you might showcase just all of your properties, because I think you showed them being either sold or available, whichever way you want to do it. But that's a hot lead. If I'm ready to work with you, I'm ready to find out what your inventory is, what you're offering, put it right there. This is the perfect real estate. Yes, he's in commercial, but it works for residential. It works for everyone in the real estate space. Perfect thing. The final one I'll mention in the front and why that's a cold lead generating. It's easier to keep people on the LinkedIn platform in that first cold spot and just start generating conversation with your potential leads than trying to just force them to go somewhere else. And I tell people all the time, that is going to generate more visibility on LinkedIn for you, could build more clients to touch points base with you. So give them an easy win. It's an easy win for you and an easy win for them. And there you go. That's what we need on your profile, Laura. So if you go back to Laura's, she's missing that whole section.
Oh,
It's
I
money
see. This
on
is why we used me today, because I knew there'd be some things I had to correct. Right, guys? So this
Yes.
is perfect.
And the final thing I'll put you in the hot seat for and I'll promote is that LinkedIn is rolling out creator mode. And a lot of people don't know about this yet, but LinkedIn is launching a short form video app similar to Reels and TikTok. And they're going to be launching it in 2022. And you get access to that short form video app only if you have what's called creator mode turned on. And I have a whole video. I mean, it's a whole nother conversation to go over how to turn it on, what to do. But I have a step-by-step tutorial for that on YouTube and on LinkedIn.
You know, it's really interesting because as you win sort of in one kind of application, say like a TikTok, you can use that same content now in other places. And so to Giselle's point, who's speaking before you, she was talking about like, just focus on one right now. If you learn how to win there, a lot of these other applications, they want to compete with each other, right? They're competing for your attention. And so they're going to steal a lot of the things that are working in other places for themselves. And so you can kind of start to use these things across the board. Judy, I know you mentioned something about commenting, like giving to get. And I heard you on a Clubhouse, and we're going to talk about Clubhouse a little bit later, but I heard you on a Clubhouse and you were going through someone's profile and you were saying, guys, this is the most important part on LinkedIn. It's not just you kind of preaching and lecturing out. This is about you engaging with the community. What's your advice for finding people to engage on? Like, who should I be engaging with? What should I be saying? What are your tips for that?
The very first people I tell you to engage with is anyone who's already engaging with you. Start with who's already showing up for you. It's turning around and being thankful for who's already there. The second place is get your office or your community. If all of you here right now are wanting to get started on LinkedIn, say in the comments, I want to get started active on LinkedIn. Who wants to engage on each other's posts or content? I mean, actually support in a community of people who, if you're all attracted here today, you're probably similarly like-minded. So join and take action in this community right now. Look who's just here today. And get active. I know you could get active on all the speakers on this panel. If they're active on LinkedIn, I know Justin is active. I know Laura's active. Just start by encouraging the conversations that are already happening that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be talking about and commenting about, I want to talk to my ideal client. Your ideal client's going to watch you.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. Your ideal client's going to watch you and watching you engage with other people and cheering other people on and being part of really important conversations to help educate people. I think it's so important. Again, I'm going to just reference Giselle because she was just on, but she was talking about, scheduling 15 minutes to do your short form content on TikTok and Instagram. But you know what? Add another 15 minutes on that and go around to the other platforms like LinkedIn and schedule that time in your calendar to go around and comment. It doesn't have to be an all day kind of a thing. Or, if you're commuting to work, use that time to go in and start engaging with people. So it's, it's net, no extra time, right? So we're doing things while we're doing other things in life. We're trying to get super smart about it. So I think scheduling that in the calendar is going to be super helpful.
Yeah,
Judy.
I have talked to Justin because I also I did a a webinar for Justin, and I know he's coming up soon. And I just want to double down on the fact that he told me when I gave him a list of people he needed to interact with, he said he got his LinkedIn down to 15 minutes a day and super successful. So it's kind of like, do your return on investment of time. If you have 15 minutes a day, can you do a couple comments, 10 comments within 15 minutes? Doesn't have to be life-altering comments, just showing up as a kind-hearted listening member of the back and forth community. And that is amazing. And then the other thing I'll double down on, Giselle and anyone talking about short form video, that is the future. And we will have that on LinkedIn. Audio only rooms are coming to LinkedIn. So be aware that when you listen about the Clubhouse conversation, audio only is coming to LinkedIn, and the short form video.
Awesome. Judy Fox rocks. Thank you so much, Judy, for helping us today. And we'll be in touch soon for sure.
Yay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, guys. I hope that was helpful. Just doing a quick little audit there. As I mentioned before, Judy and Giselle came on. I was saying that FTGU Media is happy to do a quick little content strategy with you, something similar to that, where we're going to look at all the platforms you're on, see what you're up to, see what you're not up to, see where ways we can improve. So be sure to go to FTGUmedia.com/strategy. Okay. Again, that's going to be in the comments. It's FTGUmedia.com/strategy, FTGU. Okay. Book your appointment with us there, and we'll be sure to help. And we'll help to see if we can, take some of the lessons that we all learned today, us included, and help you guys kind of improve and see where we can help you guys win in 2022. Guys, James is in. All right, we're bringing up James from New York, also known as the Zillow Killer. Hi, James. How's it going?
What's up, lady? Can you hear me?
How's it going down there? I sure can.
All is well. All is well.
You got that smooth, sultry voice.
I can dig it.
I always know when James is in the house. So I'm going to just leave it up to you. You're going to do your thing, guys. He's going to be talking to you about Facebook. Be sure to listen intensely. Don't take notes. Just get the music of what he's saying. We're going to give you this recording after the fact, so you'll be able to watch it again. James, I'll talk to you.
Do I have the ability to share? No.
No ability to share.
It's okay.
But yeah, I know you're going to do your thing, and in 20 minutes we'll come back on for a quick Q&A. Okay.
There we go. What's up, you guys? What I want to do is I want to give you guys some context, and because we're talking about Facebook, I want to put advertising and marketing in perspective, right? So I think a lot of times we think advertising is a necessity, and when you understand that advertising and marketing are two different things. Let's be clear about that. Advertising and there's marketing, but there are levels of how you need to proceed when you decide to deploy either of the two, right? We start with our marketing, right? And our marketing allows us the ability to build up a message. The message is what we advertise. When you think about advertising, advertising is amplification, right? What's up, little sis? All right. So when you think about Facebook, and I'll use Facebook as the catalyst so we can kind of start to connect the dots. Facebook has it broken up into pretty much three categories. We have our awareness, consideration, and conversion, right? Now, for you guys that's ever been in a platform, if you understand that trifecta, you'll see that in every other platform, TikTok, Google, even down to LinkedIn. That same trifecta is inside the process. Now, the reason I want to point that out to you is I want you to understand that sometimes we hear advertising and we overcomplicate the process. Advertisement should be a non and void if you haven't built up your marketing. Right? I'll say that again. If you haven't built up your marketing, this is why Giselle and you had Judy and different other people come in, especially Giselle. She probably went really deep into the marketing side of it. But let's put it in perspective. Marketing is essential. Advertising is the luxury. Right. The reason why advertising should be the luxury is because the marketing is all about building up the message, audience, and awareness. Right. The only thing advertising does is amplify the message. Right. You guys are catching that. Right. So I don't want you guys to ever get deceived when you hear people come at you and say, hey, listen, if you give me X, Y, and Z money and you give me a geographic area and you give me what you want to who you want to attract, I'll advertise for you. That will be a waste of time if you haven't done any type of marketing. There is no message to amplify, right? So the easiest way to kind of hold this inside a bubble, right, when we think about, you know, what we're going to do online, our thesis that we push at my company is very simple. We help people understand that the internet is a presence, not a destination, right? And if you understand that, you understand marketing is essential to your business, and aligning yourself with marketing requires things like video and audio. You can choose, right? Because both of them are the best way for people to consume information. But when we think about the highest consumption, it's always going to be video, right? Now, here's something that's unique. It's cool that you had different people that come and talk about the different formats of video. When you understand video is the marketing side, video is the messaging side, and once you got people actually engaging with you and you choose, remember the luxury, you choose to spend money, now you can amplify that message. But here's something unique that I want you guys to pay attention to. The process of how the internet is shifting in a sense of consuming content is very different now. There was a time about 2 years ago, prior to the pandemic, a lot of information was consumed in long form, right? We would watch whatever in a long period of time. We would just consume it all. Information now is being consumed into micro stories, right? Very short burst of information is how we're consuming information. So when you think about how people are consuming information, the important part about whatever message you are putting out, you want people to receive it. The minute you understand that people are listening to you and you understand who you're talking to, right? Like they're actually consuming it and they're listening and engaging with you, that is the ample time to think about advertising. Remember, I said think about. It is not an essential, right? And anybody that tells you, and this is coming from an advertising agency where I have two different agencies, and one in particular, we service thousands of agents, right? One, digital native, we service well over we're tipping up to about 350 or so real estate teams and brokerages worldwide that we take care of. I'm telling you from an agency perspective, advertising is not an essential. Marketing is the essential, but when you got your marketing down and you got people consuming your information, hopefully you guys have listened to some of the information that came in front of you in a sense of what type of content you should be structuring yourself or positioning yourself to do, right? Whether it be long form or short form is a lot easier. Wherever you go in a sense of your information, the minute you can see who the audience is, that's when you spend money. Now, here's a trick, and I'll leave this with you guys, and this will make a lot more sense for you guys that are advertising. One of the best times of the year to advertise is right now. Q4, Q1, right? Q4, Q1 is the best time to advertise. Now, if you took Q2, Q3, when everyone's really engaging, and you started to put your message out there, and you got that right? You don't have to spend as much money when you advertise. And that's what people don't understand. When you understand the power of the internet and the ability of access and how we can distribute information whenever we want, like we're having a full conference on a Saturday evening across the globe, and we're all still comfortably home, right? That's the world we live in, right? Digital is one of the spaces that we can amplify these messages. When you understand your message has to be the starting point, then you can think about advertising. Now, why Q4 and Q2 is so important? Because the mindset of how people are buying is way different. Attention is way different. And the cost of attention is a lot cheaper now, which is when you hear people talk about advertising, here's something you want to start to write down and understand. It's called CPMs, right? Anytime you think about spending money on the internet, there are two ways that the internet as a whole charge and pay, right? Whether they charge what you pay to advertise, or they pay you for your attention or your audience, right? CPMs, that means per 1,000 impressions. The cost per 1,000 impressions in between those three platforms, we talk about TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, on up to YouTube, the cost per CPMs, we haven't seen it get past $10, right? That's very, very cost effective. Now, why I point that out to you is when you compare that to what these other syndicated sites are charging you, right? Because of convenience, that's all they're charging you for is convenience. Zillow has a message. Everyone knows if you go to Zillow, you're going there to buy some type of property or sell something. The message is secure. So when they put out the advertising, they're just advertising and amplifying the message. To use that convenience of what they've already built in a sense of their messaging is going to cost you anywhere between $300 to $500 per CPM. Hear that difference? Per CPM for yourself, when you've built up your message and you choose to advertise, upwards to $10. When you pay for convenience, right? And I'm saying convenience I'm using it loosely because I want you guys to understand a lot of times when we think of convenience, I think of that in some terms for us, it's just being lazy, right? That's the simplest way to put it, right? We choose not to put in the work. So we lean into what the messaging that other companies already have. That cost. Hiring me costs. A lot of this stuff in a sense of advertising is very cost effective. And the amazing part about when you think about advertising, if you got your messaging right, all you're doing is amplifying. You're just yelling it louder. You can't mess that up. And I don't want anybody to trick you and think you have to hire an advertising agency. There's some things I want to prepare you guys and weaponize you guys in a sense of people that are in this predatory marketing space. If they come to you and they want to advertise for you, and you have no marketing and they don't encourage you to say, hey, listen, let's build up your marketing side first. I'm not something you need to hire right now. Do this, and then let's talk and see what we have. You're about to waste money. I promise you that. I can guarantee you, you do not need to hire anybody to just run ads for you. What you hire people for is to help you develop conversations. And the only way they can develop conversation, they have to develop the conversation based off your messaging. You guys are catching that? So it's very crucial. Marketing, essential. Video, essential. If you want to get sexy with it, audio, essential, right? Advertising, not important. It's not that big of a deal. I'll be the first to tell you that. Now, when you are willing to go into that space of advertising, the ability to put yourself out there, to test drive and to learn and to really get it right, it is very cost effective, you guys. I want to encourage you guys, you cannot mess it up, right? You can't mess up your messaging, right? The worst thing you do is say it to a person that's not listening. But you cannot mess up your messaging when you're amplifying a message that you've developed and you already have an audience listening. So before you go out and spend money in the sense of hiring people, before you go out there and throw money to these different syndicated sites, and I'll say throw money to these syndicated sites, you can do this yourself. Right now, let me give you guys just some strategies in a sense of if you just like, hey, listen, I need to spend some money. Think about the platforms. I'm not talking about the awareness, consideration, and conversions. I can't share my screen, so I'll just kind of break it out to you really quickly, right? The areas that you want to focus on when you think about Facebook, right? And if you catch Facebook, you got TikTok, you got Google. So it all overlaps. These same exact objectives are consistent throughout the platforms. The one objective you guys need to care about when you think about Facebook, reach objective. That's on all the platforms. TikTok, Google, you'll see the reach objective, right? Traffic objective. That means you're taking a person from the platform to whatever offer you're giving them, right? Now, a simplistic way of thinking about your offer, one page, one offer. That's it. Try not to complicate it. Don't get caught up into the branding, whatever you're advertising in a sense of value, right? Because we're building it off the message. So the message leads into whatever value you want to offer. That landing page has to have that same type of process. Anytime you hear something like traffic, think of you're paying to take people off the platform. That's all you're doing, right? The other one is video views. Perfect way to get your message out. That's the cheapest way to broadcast whatever message you guys have out there, right? You guys are putting out content, you're building up awareness, you're building up some engagement, you're getting people listen to you, and you want more people to hear it, right? You think it's dope, right? You want more people to hear that? There you go, videos, right? That's the video view objective. That's universal. You'll see that in all the other platforms, right? I'll lead down to the lead gen objective. Lead gen objective, the simplest objective, but it's the most cost effective when it's in a sense of adding third-party softwares, right? Do you need all of these softwares? No, not at all. A lot of the platforms will nurture the expectation that you're looking for when you think about objectives. So anytime you think about objectives in any of the platforms, you want to position yourself and say, what am I expecting from the platforms? That's it, right? Remember I said it's in 3 levels. So we have our objective, we have our ad set, and we have our ads. The objective, what do I expect? The ad set, right? That's the budget and direction. How much do I want to spend? Who do I want to see it? The ad, creative. Two sides of creative. Video, static image. That's it. Every part of creative needs some type of copy, some type of description. All the same thing, right? I'll go back to the objective. And then the final one is the conversion. Universal, right? The conversion is the only objective that's a little more complicated, and I don't have time to really dig deep into it, but it's the only objective that's going to require some type of tracking to make it work. Sorry about that. Some type of tracking to make it work, right? But what I want to help you guys understand is I want you guys to embrace the world we live in. The world we live in has given you a very unique opportunity, right, to be an entrepreneur. I didn't say be entrepreneurial, and I'm not talking about being a business owner. I'm talking about being an entrepreneur. Very few people understand that because we're so caught up and consumed in the self-employment world that it's hard to see what that's all about. The key to entrepreneurship, right, is providing value and selling. Don't let anybody deceive you on that, right? Sometimes, well, I don't want to feel like a salesperson. You have to be able to sell, right? If you can sell, right, or if you can communicate, you can sell. The second part about your business that you never want to let go is your marketing. At no point in the pillars of business is advertising part of the equation. Selling and marketing will help you guys develop a business. In our industry, we have nurtured the behavior of self-employment and have ran into the deception that we are actually building a business. But the scary part about that is when you stop, business stops. If you can't leave your business, you're self-employed. And that's not a bad thing. I just want to remove the fantasy and help you guys understand that in this industry that we have the unique ability to do two things: build a business, and we can focus on what you should be focused on is legacy. Conversation that a lot of people won't have. Our industry has allowed us a very unique space that we can make as much money as we want, and we can build as big a business as we want, right? Catch what I'm saying here. There is no limitations of how big your business can go in our industry. I'll leave you guys with this. If you get nothing else, I'm one of the few people that I can tell you I'm a practitioner from both sides in the sense of selling real estate and also building out these different agencies. I chose to move to this space in a sense of helping the industry understand what's possible. My message to you today is I want to leave you is before you get caught up into the narrative that you have to fail in the beginning, I want to be the first to tell you that that's not true. The internet is giving you a unique ability to get past what will be considered to be the gatekeepers. There's no more rules to how far you can go in your business in your first year. For you guys that are first year agents, I want to share with you that you can actually kill it your first year. You do not have to struggle your first year. Fourth quarter does not have to be a complicated quarter. First quarter, you do not have to stress. If you're willing to apply things that you guys are hearing today in the sense of content, you hear the term content, I think we see that as it's almost like a commodity. And I don't want you guys to view it as a commodity. I want you guys to see the opportunity that the internet is giving you in the sense of you can be you, unapologetically you. And there are millions of people that are willing to listen and buy into what your message is. But you guys have to be willing to build a message. Advertising is not something you need to run into right now. Is it needed? Absolutely not. But if nothing else, you remember that I say to you, I want you guys to understand that the internet as a whole is a presence, not a destination. We will die on the internet. It's not going anywhere, right? This industry that we have has given you the luxury to build something that you can actually leave behind. But if you, at this point, have accepted the narrative of where you are in the sense of your business, and you really believe that you have to do it all, what I want you guys to think about in a sense of if you're building anything that die with you, what is the point? It's no point, right? So the internet as a whole, I want you guys to hold on to and understand that the information you guys are getting, here's the core of what I'll leave you with. You are only limited by what you accept. And I don't want you guys to accept nothing. Anything that's not excellent in your life, be willing to destroy it, you guys. I'm ready for you.
Holy smokes, James. I told everybody before, that sultry voice of yours, I mean, I feel like I'm in a little bit of a trance here. Like, I asked you to come on to talk about Facebook, but I feel like I got a whole motivational speech, and I always love that you do that. So thank you for that.
Very well.
We had a couple questions that did come in, so I just wanted to shoot some at you if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Nick piped in, and we kind of had this question before when it came to jazz. Is there a threshold you should use when determining when you go from marketing to advertising? Like, what's kind of that sweet spot when you're like, okay, now is the time to turn it on?
A lot of times, like I said, if you're advertising correctly, marketing is almost like an afterthought because you're getting business from it. But advertising normally comes in a space when you're about to scale, when you're really ready to grow, you're bringing team members on, and you need to be able to grow your team. It's the best time for advertising. Very few people, like single agents, really rarely need to advertise. It's not a necessity at all.
So I'm actually going to ask this question for myself because I tend to get overwhelmed, right? There's so many things I need to be on, so many places I need to be, and it can be a lot at times. And now we're kind of throwing into like paying money for something, right? Like I always say to everybody, the beautiful thing about content creation is that a lot of these applications are free. But in this case, I'm actually putting my hard-earned dollars at it. Is there kind of like, would you say there's a threshold on like how much money you should spend? And should I be spending money up front and kind of see where it goes? And who should I be hiring? I know I just threw kind of three things at you.
No. I don't think you should hire anybody yet to market or advertise for you. I think right now is building up that message of one, getting the courage to put yourself out there, putting out the content. Video should be where everyone leans to, right? I'm a recovering introvert. This isn't natural for me. So we have to develop that habit or that ability to act. And when you get to a place where you really want to succeed, you start looking at things a lot different, right? Now, we talk about budgeting. As a single agent, $500 a month is an excellent budget to kill it in any platform. You can choose it, right? And if $500 is hurting you, then you have a bigger problem.
Okay, $500. I mean, that doesn't sound like too much there. So I like that. What am I looking for? Like if something's working or not working, and what am I comparing it to, or who am I comparing it to? Is it like I spent $500, I did one ad, and then I immediately got business out of it, so therefore it works? Is that kind of how it works with the ad space? Or is this kind of like content creation where it's like over time you're going to see it happen?
That's your budget you want to structure. We structure our budgets with all of our clients between $300 to $500, and how we structure that is the time of the month. If it's between the 1st and 15th, right? If you're advertising in that window, $500. If you're advertising after the 15th, it should be $300 because we're paying for CPMs. Now, how we break down that spend, we break it down into what we call 721. 70% of your budget should be towards direct response, any lead generation, right? 20% should be towards retargeting, any audience that you have, repositioning that message. And then 10% should always run towards some type of branding, right? That awareness. So like a video view ad, it's very cost effective. You're putting out content now. And if you've gotten comfortable with content, it only makes sense to amplify that content. So that 10% feeds the 20%, and that 30% can feed the 70%. That's how you break down your spend.
Okay, guys, I told you not to take notes, and now I'm kind of regretting that because he gave so many tactical pieces of information. James, I so appreciate it. And I just want you to know, James, that we are going to be sending this video out to everybody. So guys, you can watch it again and take your notes, and be sure to connect with James. James, where do you want people to follow you? Probably on Instagram, or where's the best place?
Any way you say Zillow, you see Zillow Killer, I'm there. We just created a community called the Circle of Excellence. So we'll be making that public, where we're trying to create an environment that we can nurture those of us that's trying to be the greatest version of ourselves all the time.
James, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be seeing you soon on Clubhouse, no doubt, because that's where we first met anyway. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And again, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, you guys. See you later.
Okay, guys. Whoa, that was a session. I hope you got a lot of value out of that. As you can see, James has a very, very strong personal brand. I mean, being known as the Zillow Killer, as he said, you look up the word Zillow, you're going to find the man. And that's really, really important. And it's not to say that you need to have, anything other than your name. It doesn't need to be a saying or something really catchy or cute. Just your name will do. But obviously, he's done super, super well with being the Zillow killer. And I first met James on Clubhouse, which is a fairly new app. If you don't know what Clubhouse is, you're in luck, because we're actually going to be talking about Clubhouse right now. And almost every single person that was on here today, I actually met on Clubhouse. I have yet to meet most of them in person, and it's an incredible place to build community. And here's the clincher here with Clubhouse, guys. You don't even need to put your face on it. It's just an image of your face. And then everything else is audio only. So for any of you who are like, I'm scared shitless of doing video content, there's just no way I can put myself in front of a camera, this might be the one application that works for you, because it's like, again, those baby steps that I keep talking about, right? Maybe you start with the written word first to kind of get yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe you start with a blog because that's where you feel comfortable and you don't have to put your face out there or your voice out there at all. And then maybe from there we graduate into something like a Clubhouse where it's audio only and you only have to really concern yourself with how your voice sounds. I hate to break it to you, nobody likes how their voice sounds. We all think we sound awful. And here's the other thing. It is what it is, because your clients are going to hear you at some point anyway. So Clubhouse is a great next step. And then after that, once you feel comfortable putting yourself out there and producing content that way, then you can graduate into the video, maybe taking some pictures of yourself. Quick little selfie, never hurt nobody, right? And so I'm going to bring on Justin Conoco. Anyone who's been following us for a while knows this man, so he really doesn't need an introduction, but he's coming at us from London, Ontario. He is a real estate agent, guys. So this guy is actually teaching you from the trenches. So be sure to take mental notes or real notes, whatever you feel comfortable with. Hi, Justin. How's it going?
I'm good, Laura. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Where are you? Are you in your garage today?
No, so this actually was a gym that turned into a studio with the Rona. So I'm actually at my home right now and I'm making time for you guys because this is a great conference.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and I know you also know everyone who was on. So you've probably been watching all along. So you're our last segment of the day. So you can kind of like sum it all up for us in a pretty bow.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so funny you say that, right? Because we're talking Clubhouse, and when Jazz talked to me about throwing this together, I started seeing the names pop up, and I'm like, it's a pretty interesting platform that I think a lot of people don't understand, and I'm happy to kind of break it down. But I think overarching theme is social audio. Clubhouse is, I think, the number one in that space right now, but social audio is coming, and it is the future. So it's going to be an interesting conversation.
All right, I'm going to leave it to you. You got about 20 minutes, and like we're doing really well with the time right now, so don't mess this up for me, Justin. You got 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back, and we'll do a quick Q&A. So guys, when you're watching and listening, be sure if you guys have questions. I know some of you are like, well, everyone's answering all my questions, and these speakers are so great. They've anticipated what my questions would be. I'm sure you have a question. No question is stupid, right? If you have a question, chances are there's at least 10 other people with the same question, so be sure to put them in the comments, and we'll get to them after that. Justin, over to you.
Thank you, Laura. So one thing I'll make a note of is if you look at this setup and the way the camera is right now, you're at a content first summit right now. And what did we say so many times in the summit is just press record and put it out. My beautiful DSLR that gives me that nice bokeh framed in shot isn't working right now because the cable is actually at the office studio, but it's all about showing up in places and being authentically yourself. When they asked me to speak about Clubhouse, I was really thinking about, well, what do I say to start off this segment, right? How do I let people know the inherent value that Clubhouse has had in my life? Because when people bring up the word Clubhouse, usually elicits a pretty quick reaction. So why don't I start with this? Why don't I start with asking you a question of, what if I told you you could double your business next year? What if I told you you could double your referral pipelines? What if I told you that you'd be able to interview people like Tiffany Haddish, Seth Godin, Grant Cardone on a fairly regular basis, get to access people like Sean Cannell and Benji Travis to help you decipher two amazing YouTube strategies that you are now implementing that have the potential to be 7-figure businesses on their own. That's what I would probably lead with. And not only that, what if I also told you that if you were in production and you were trying to figure out, man, I want to get into the luxury real estate market, but don't really know how to do it. And I could tell you that, well, there's a room where you have 7 or 8 of the top luxury agents on the planet. Like, I'm not talking your backyard. I'm not talking a networking conference. I mean, on the planet, chopping it up, explaining how they got into it, how they deal with buyers, how they deal with sellers. Well, that room happened last Monday on Practical and Tactical. What if I asked you, you know, how's your gift giving going for your past clients, your database? I mean, a lot of agents are so worried about the next leads and generating leads. They're not taking care of their own database. You're like, man, I'd love to know how to love my database. Well, this Monday, 11:30 to 12:30, we're doing a room called Practical and Tactical, where that's all we're going to discuss is gift giving by some of the smartest people on the planet. And then not only that, Clubhouse for me, I'm seeing in the comments people like Giselle. I saw James that was just on. I see so many people here that I have developed true friendships with because it is the one application that I've ever seen that actually leaves you feeling positive about your social interaction versus the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and a lot of these other platforms that people have an overwhelmingly negative connotation to sometimes when they go in and they scroll and they scroll and they scroll and they leave feeling dejected and they haven't actually built relationships. So I'm going to walk you through the framework of what Clubhouse is. I'm going to explain to you some things that I've done that have really made a difference for me, because one thing I'll point out, there's a huge real estate group. Shout out to Real Estate Hacks. I think there's 18,000 plus members. And I've seen 2 posts recently about people saying, well, is Clubhouse dead yet? You know, is it time to delete the app? And I literally did the laughing emoji, because to me, the people who are negative on something they're not using or don't really understand are the exact same people that 7 years ago were telling me that video was pointless, that doing these short form videos on Instagram for years and years and years was a waste of time. Meanwhile, I look at results and it generated an astronomical amount of business for me. Clubhouse is opening up doors I never thought possible. This little brand here is now known on an international level strictly because of Clubhouse. I said to my wife the other day, quite honestly, if Ontario decided that real estate agents weren't a thing anymore, we can open up shop almost anywhere because of the connections that we've made on that application. So Rochester, my man, can you bring up the slide deck? I'm not sure if you got it on the back end. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give you a 5-second countdown. Boo, yeah, there he is. Oh, there's somebody. All right. I will go through the dynamics of what Clubhouse is first, and I'll walk you through kind of step by step so I don't go down a wormhole, but you can connect with me off channel if you want to talk about how I did what I did on Clubhouse. But what it is it's an audio social network. So think of Facebook without the images. Think of doing a Zoom meeting with 30 or 40 people without your camera on. And it's also a live podcasting platform, because now people are starting to record these episodes and then release them almost as separate podcasts. There's different types of rooms. You can go into some and they're literally just an open table. And there's others that are ran as interview style rooms. But what you need to know is it's a social audio application. There initially were no DMs, no videos, no likes, none of those things. They've instituted some things in the back end too, where now you can direct message people. One of the most powerful things I think that I've seen Clubhouse do, though, is the integration with Instagram. So what if I told you you could double your following in like 6 to 8 months? That happened to me on the application. Just by showing up on a regular basis, I was literally getting 100 new followers a day on Instagram. I don't care about the follower count. What was really cool is they were in the demographic of people I was looking for, not just followers for the sake of followers. And the way that Clubhouse actually works is if you have the application in hand, if you want to learn more about somebody, connect with them, yes, you can just click the message button, but I would say 90% of the time you're actually clicking on their name, scrolling down to their IG, and then you're determining whether or not there's somebody you're going to add into your ecosystem. So that's a really cool aspect about Clubhouse. And then how do you get in? It used to be invite only. It's a fallacy that it's still invite only. So it doesn't matter what type of phone you have, you can get on the app and you can go through and become a member on Clubhouse. Now, how to choose your rooms and the clubs that you're in Clubhouse. This is integral in your experience. And anybody to me that had a bad experience on Clubhouse usually ended up with the wrong ecosystem of people or in the wrong places. So what I would say first is find somebody you trust, like Laura, myself, Giselle, James, and then maybe just follow them and go hang out where they're hanging out and be a consumer first. You can use this same methodology for all content creation, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube. Be a consumer of the platform first. Understand how people's language is, how they bring people up on stage, how they call on people, the etiquette. What blows my mind is I'm constantly in rooms with 500-600 people, and rarely do we ever have any problems with trolls. Like the community culture in some of these places is amazing. But then I walk into other rooms that can have 1,500 people and it's absolute mayhem. And it could be, you could hear things in those rooms that will completely give you a bad taste in your mouth. I treat Clubhouse rooms and clubs exactly how I treat my feeds. So here's another little point for you. Make a effort to curate your feeds. So if you're on Facebook and you see something you absolutely don't want to see, or TikTok see something you don't want to see, unfollow that post. Take the 2 seconds to click on it and say, I don't want to see this in my feed. Clubhouse is the same thing without the dislike button. So what I typically do is I just don't go in those spaces, or you can swipe left and actually say, hide this from me in the future, because it's not a place that I want to participate in, or a place that's going to add value to me. The other thing I would say is set up a structure as to what you're looking to accomplish first on the application. I'm in a couple different spaces. One was the real estate space, obviously. The masterminds that we do with agents are like none other. And I could tell you the culture and the community that we have. So the practical and tactical room, to give you some context, if myself, Jazz Tacker, whenever you can make it, Giselle Ugarte, who's just here, runs the room with me. Like, she's my right hand in that room. Andy T, who's on pace to sell $1 billion and probably one of the top agents on the planet in Silicon Valley. Glenda Baker, if you know anything about TikTok, she's there on a regular basis. You got James that pops in. You have Jaime. You have Ray Ellen. Matt Lamarche. You can go on and on and on. You have these people that come in and we just table a topic, and it's a different topic every single week. Really cool thing about that space that we curated, and this took effort, was it's non-denominational, right? We don't recruit. I'm not looking to put you in my funnel. That's not why we're doing what we're doing. We're so adamant about protecting that we've made shifts in the past to make sure that the audience and the moderators know that they're going to be honored, and we're not going to just monetize them. We just want an open table where we can chop it up, talk about ideas, go do what we're going to do, and then come back and then talk about how they worked and what's changing in the future. So I would say that was my first space, was I really just wanted a place where I could work out ideas in the real estate space. Second space I decided I wanted to be involved in was the YouTube space. A lot of you probably don't even know how much time I spent in those spaces, but I started going to these rooms ran by a guy named Viper, who runs vidIQ. Really cool thing about that was I didn't really understand YouTube before last February. I've ran channels for years and years and years and years. We generated business off of it. My business is up 600% off organic YouTube and Google, strictly off what I learned on Clubhouse. But how did I get there? I put my hand up and I asked questions. You absolutely have to engage. If you don't ask questions and then you don't get value, I would say that's your fault. So if you're going into spaces that you're trying to learn things in, but you're not actively participating and then engaging and then applying the things you're learning, you're just wasting your time. You're using it as a way to feel busy. And then I would say this app isn't actually for you. Other cool thing about that room that I spent in with Viper and all the guys from vidIQ was it led me down a path to Benji Travis and Sean Cannell. I don't think I have the book here, YouTube Secrets. It is the #1 selling book for YouTube. Got on stage, I asked Benji and Sean a question. 2 hours ago, Benji texted me back, and we've developed a real friendship from the amount of time that we spend on this platform. Benji has billions of views, millions of followers across several channels, but I was able to capture his attention and a relationship through social audio, because over the weeks and weeks and weeks that we spent together ideating, he saw that my interest was actually genuine in the topic, rather than I was just there to pitch something, which a lot of people were on the app early on and lost a lot of credibility on. So I would say, I picked another space I really want to learn in, which was YouTube. Third space I decided I wanted to spend some time in was actually a entrepreneurial room. So I got dragged into this room by a friend of mine named William Tong. And anybody that knows Clubhouse, William is the Jedi Master. He's the Yoda of Clubhouse. He's the first guy I met on the app, and probably why I was able to grow the way I did, because I just followed his lead. Very empathetic, quiet, very humble guy. You'd never know that he has the connections that he has, but he always gives everybody space in the room. He's protective, making sure spaces are safe and quiet and well run. But he took me into this room called Breakfast with Champions. And the cool thing about Breakfast with Champions was it was intimidating in the beginning for me, because, again, tons of people. I'm sure so many people there from different walks of life. Some people that maybe sounded like they knew what they were talking about. Some people that maybe didn't in the beginning. And it really shook itself out over about 8 or 9 months. Now, the cool thing is, Brian Benstock, for example, runs the #1 Honda dealership on the entire planet. And I'm constantly getting tips from him on how to run a sales team. I'm meeting all kinds of people. Alexandra Carter, who's a UN negotiator, is now a contact I'm talking to about collaborating with another group in that space. So again, I've got 3 different spaces. I've got real estate, I've got YouTube, and I've got entrepreneurship. The really cool thing is all of these different spaces overlap in different capacities, and things happen by proximity from you spending time with these people without you even paying attention. And then your phone starts ringing. You start getting opportunities you never thought you would have had because of other people having you top of mind because you're spending time in these spaces. Now, from a scheduling standpoint, if you follow me on Clubhouse, you probably think I'm on Clubhouse 24 hours a day. I have an iPhone and I have an iPad. Sometimes I treat it like a radio, so no different than a podcast or anything else. It's sitting in the background and I'm not actively engaging. I am present in case something happens or I get called on, and I'm not just going to squat on stage. Other times I'm actually running rooms. I put some serious parameters around my time deployment on Clubhouse, and even more so lately, I pulled back from some of the real estate spaces because I want to make sure that I'm very focused on my effort and my deployment. If I'm putting effort being around a certain classification of people working on a certain amount of topics to reach an end goal, that's what I'm going to do. To just be in a space to just talk about real estate for the sake of talking real estate, I had to actually scale back from that space a little bit because I wanted more attention on the organization, my team, and what we were doing in the implementation side of things. And I've actually found that to be a benefit because when I'm in the real estate spaces, I'm a little bit more focused and I'm getting a little bit more from that. Another room that I ran was actually the Great Canadian Real Estate Networking Room. So Wednesdays from 11:30 to 12, if you're in the real estate industry in any capacity, mortgage, real estate, investor, that space, we collaborate across the country to talk trends. Where do you sell? What trends are you seeing? And how are you finding success for your buyers and sellers? I have won listings showing clients recordings of those rooms. When I walk in to talk pricing strategy with a client and I play a recording of what a bunch of agents talked about last week about how the number of showings have gone down and how pricing is absolutely critical, the conversation about pricing properly changes dramatically. Sorry, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff in the chat, so it seems like people are going off. Yeah, Giselle, it is the squad. I've got here to do 10-minute Q&A as well. If you have to jump on and stop me now, let me know, Laura. I can keep going for sure. And Christina, link me up on Clubhouse. I'll show you who to follow. Another little hack for you as well is if you find good people on Clubhouse, see who they're following. I would say be protective about just following a billion people. And then Lisa, today's initiative has been mind-blowing. Thank you for sharing the content. It's highly motivated me. Every time I get around people like this that are implementing, it motivates me quite a bit. Another thing I'd say about etiquette on Clubhouse that I should mention is keep in mind to watch how the moderators are moderating the room and then take their lead, right? When you actually get into a room and you put your hand up and you come up on stage, your mic is hot. So you have to tap that little button and mute yourself. There's been a lot of amusing things that have happened on Clubhouse because people aren't aware of that. So that little tip. And then when you get to speak, make your point and then wrap it up. That's probably the biggest mistake I see people making on Clubhouse is they ramble and they ramble and they ramble. And it usually comes from the nerves. But the really cool thing about Clubhouse is most of the spaces people understand and they will help you through that process. And it will make you a better effective speaker. So if you want speaking engagements, Clubhouse is a great place to practice to do live events like this. It's also a great place to practice so that you can land live events like this. I have been invited to be a speaker at over a dozen events since I started in February. I'm being very selective about the ones that I'm actually doing. 2022, you may see me in many, many more places, but it is something that if you're looking to speak on a national or international level, I would definitely say would help. You know, the secrets to success, for me, it's really paying attention to people that are actual experts and authentic people. I would say the one caveat I would say to everything I just said about Clubhouse is there are far too many people that are easily influenced by people that have no idea what they're talking about. There are practitioners and there are talking heads. This exists on all of the networking circuits you could possibly imagine, real life or social audio. I promise you there's conferences that are ran internationally where you have people that are trying to teach you things essentially to get you into their funnel to recruit you at the end of the day, right? Are they telling you something because they're genuinely looking to help you and it's something that they've worked on and they understand and they know how to execute and they're constantly reviewing and implementing? If so, definitely listen up. I would say be careful not to assume that once you learn that from that person that That's it. You've learned everything they have to know, because those types of people are going to continue learning and they're going to get better and better and better. Jaime Resendez, I see you. My thoughts about having your own room open on Clubhouse, how to grow your room. I've been running Practical and Tactical since I got on the platform in January. So I'd say if you're going to do it, be consistent like anything else. I've ran it every single Monday, save maybe 2 holidays since January. And it takes work, right? I have to come up with the speaker. I have to come up with the topics. I have to schedule the room. I have to check in with people to make sure they're going to be there. But I can tell you my ROI on my time on Clubhouse right now to me is infinite. And I mean that. Like I'm talking millions of dollars in the future. It actually helped me reassess what we're doing with Prime. It's completely different than anything in the real estate industry. I promise you that. And it's because I was able to work out the ideas in those platforms. So I'd say open up your room, do it consistently the same way every single time. I also try to make an effort not to spam people too much in other places, but I try to go places where people are interested in these rooms, and then make sure I deliver an easy way for them to add it to their calendar. So, I mean, people are busy. People forget. When you actually create a room on Clubhouse, it gives you a little link that you can add to your calendar. I will send that link to people and say, hey, click this link and add it to your calendar. I use what's called the 9-word email strategy for everything I do. It's a Dean Jackson concept. You know, sometimes people will send you an email and it's like this much text with like links all over the place. And more often than not, you're just not going to read it. That's the reality of it, right? We're all busy. Things are going on. But if you get a little one that says, you know, how to give past clients gifts, or luxury real estate uncovered with, you know, Andy T and Glenda Baker, and a link saying, hey, add this to your calendar, you're probably going to click on it. You're a mortgage agent, a credit coach, credit coaching rooms, but sometimes you get so down when people don't come. Yeah, I don't care about the follower count. I mean, I've had rooms where the Practical and Tactical room's 30, 60 people deep. And I've had rooms where I get 300-400 people that go through the room in a day. I understand the feeling, right? Because you could want to see constant growth, but it's the same on Instagram and YouTube and all the other platforms. I mean, long game. It doesn't matter. Imagine if you had 50 people sitting in a room with you, or 20 people sitting in a room with you talking about something. I think as long as you're still getting through the topic that you want to cover, and you can record the room. Somebody asked that earlier. You can actually set it to replays on now. So it's an automatic recording. People were using Roadcasters and apps like Otter.ai to transcribe episodes and record them on their phones. But Clubhouse actually allows you to do it in the actual application and then save it as a actual file on your iPhone. So Portia, I hope that answers your question. I would really put a little bit of thought into, just like YouTube strategy. What's the purpose of your room? Who does it serve? What problem does it solve? Have a consistent schedule and go to the places where those people are. I think that will give you quite a bit of ability to grow. I would also recommend probably get a couple people to help you with the space. Because you may not be available 24/7. And, you know, if you only do the room intermittently or there isn't consistency, you will lose your audio very, very quickly. So that's pretty much it in terms of the Clubhouse kind of start to finish process, how to get on the app, where to find value, where I'm finding value right now. I can tell you it's not for everybody, but neither is YouTube. I think you have to find out what speaks to you and what you can use to implement your business. I think I've really found a cadence on Clubhouse with the tribe of people that I have. I honestly think some of the people that I'm going to be spending the most time with in 2022 comes from Clubhouse and comes from the fact that I've literally spent hundreds of hours with them at this point, and I understand how their minds think, and we synergize in a lot of different ways. Nick Clark, you asked, do I distribute this on other platforms? So if you go to justinconico.com/resources, there's some action guides there that actually came from Clubhouse rooms. So the storytelling one, for example, I had Kyle Scott on. So he is the CEO of Serhant Ventures. Those of you that know me know that I'm very close with the Serhant team. Kyle came on. Kyle spent 10 years at digital with NBC, right? He was the head of production, did all their digital strategy, and he came on and broke down how they do storytelling for a brand like Serhant. And we actually took that audio, compartmentalized it down into an action guide PDF, and then put it out as an action guide, and then put the replay up as a podcast. So you can also go to the podcast called Prime People. And if you look up Kyle Scott Prime People, you can listen to that entire Clubhouse room and get an idea of how I ran it. I've really changed a few times with how I structure the rooms, but I'll give you kind of my sauce so that if you want to implement it in your own rooms, you can. But essentially it starts with exactly what I said earlier. Like, what is the problem we are solving? Who does it speak to? How are we going to solve it? Usually would have some type of guest. Now we've switched that because I don't want it to just be a podcast. I want it to be a power panel discussion. So we typically have a group of moderators that are experts in different fields come on and chop it up on a topic. And I've found that to really be my favorite format because it is an open table. You know, it's not, hey, we're the stars. You're just happen to be here. It is really a collaborative space that nobody owns, right? So that's how we're running it now, is off a power panel, run through the segment, typically do about 30 minutes of Q&A, but hey, we let the conversation go where it's going to go. I have a hard stop usually at 12:30. A couple times we've ran over, but it really depends on how the room is flowing. So hopefully that was helpful as well too. So that's pretty much it for Clubhouse. If anybody has any questions, Laura, if you want to come back on and chop it up, I'm happy to do that as well.
Hey, Justin, there was a reason we left you to the end, because I knew you were just going to run with it. You are great at hosting and you have a lot of experience on all the platforms. And so I just kind of love how you brought this all full circle for us. I did actually have some questions for you myself, because I know you already answered, I think, everything that was in the chat. So I appreciate that. You did the heavy lifting for me.
I try. Yeah, I run stream. It's a great platform, actually. So talk about this. So Clubhouse, I now have 5 revenue streams outside of real estate because of Clubhouse, right? I'm an affiliate with StreamYard, with vidIQ. I do things with Think Media and all these other things, and I'm transparent about it because I believe in these products. I learned about that on Clubhouse as well. So you kind of get what you put into a lot of these platforms.
You know, I think it's so interesting, Justin, because at the core, what I really have learned about you over, I don't know, what's the 7 years that we've been kind of working together, is that you're just really curious about a lot of things, right? Like you do your own due diligence. And I think on your off time, I mean, you must be just doing a lot of research all the time to kind of learn all these platforms, to learn how to create affiliate links and how that can help your business. Like, it's incredible that you find the time, in all honesty.
It's a hobby. Actually, this morning, it's funny you say that. So we found an opportunity to really rip apart our entire agency side of our business. So we have Prime Real Estate, we have Prime Media Productions, but we also have Prime Media Agency that actually runs the digital ad strategy for a lot of the things that we do. And this morning, after my workout, I actually went into our ads manager, both for Facebook and for Google, and started looking at how our campaigns were set up and found a couple amazing opportunities. Now, I've been running my own ads since 2013. Our average cost per lead was like $1.83, which is way better than even digital agencies will get. But that's only because it was my natural curiosity. I enjoy it. I don't do it anymore. So the team actually runs it for me. And I'm more high level idea. Like, this is what we're looking to accomplish. This is how we're going to do it. But it's good to know how to take the engine apart and look at the different pieces. Because I think for people like yourself and myself, Laura, like being naturally curious, we will always be on the cutting edge. Like, there's not a digital agency out there that's going to be as vested in my success, my interest as me. So maybe just implementing that internally. And you guys are doing that to a huge degree yourself, like having your own teams running creative, but then collaborating with groups like REC and Prime and Giselle and James and all these different people. Like, we're so powerful, but we don't even know it. So yeah, that natural curiosity's sure cost me a lot of time, but I'm sure it's made me a lot of money too.
That's true. I want to take us back to Clubhouse just for a second, because I know you had mentioned that there's a lot of talking heads on there. And that's kind of what I found a little bit, you know, when you're going from room to room, and there's a lot of people just spewing a lot of shit, quite honestly. How do you do your due diligence on those people? Like, how do you find who's a good person? Are you like doing a digital deep dive like I talked about before? Or is it kind of, are you deciphering what they say and you're kind of picking it apart? How do you figure out who you should listen to?
So I came from the hospitality industry, and I used to be a bouncer. I was the smallest bouncer of all time, so I had to learn to talk really, really early on. But I mean, I used to have situational awareness for rooms of like 1,500 people a night, right? So I was really quick at being able to audit people and really have a good bead on them before we even really get into an in-depth conversation, right? Just human characteristics and engagements was just something I had to do as a job. So I think when I look at an app like Clubhouse, I don't take myself too seriously. That's the number one rule is, you know, if I go on there and I say something that maybe comes across off color to somebody, or maybe they're like, well, he's saying that, but this works for me. Well, congratulations. Like, I'm happy for you. I'm not putting so much stock into my ideas that I'm not open to having my ideas changed. But I do find instantly, like, if I walk into a room and somebody's talking at me and I respond and they're just waiting for their turn to talk, they're not actually listening to what I'm saying, then it's a waste of time. And I'm just check out right away. Like I'm very quick to identify the people that I want to be closer to and not, based on the level of respect and as well as curiosity that they have. But again, like what you said, there's a lot of people that are talking heads and people that are, quick talking salesmen. And I'm sure there's people that actually like those people and they should go find each other and work together. Just like there's real estate agents out there that will take money under the table and do shady things. There's clients out there that want to work with those guys. They want to work with those people. And I'm not that guy. Go find those people, right? You can't buy me. Like I got offered under the table 1% yesterday from a guy. And I'm like, I love you. I appreciate you. Not in a million years I'm going to take this. Go send me 5 more clients. And he laughed and we had a good time. He was testing me. But I want to work with people that are like that. But again, we're all different. Like there's no good or bad. You just have to find your people.
Can you talk to quickly about, what I find on the Clubhouse platform is that there's a lot of people, they really just stay in their lane, right? They have their couple talking points that they know a lot about.
Sure.
And they'll actually almost navigate the conversation. So if you're, say, hosting a room, right? I want our viewers and listeners today to know that, like, you don't need to know all the answers. And if someone puts up their hand and asks you a question and you don't know the answer, like, there's no need for you to just start rhyming off shit, like, if you don't know what you're talking about, right? So how do you navigate those situations when a question comes up and you're like, I don't think I'm the expert for that?
I just say I'm not the expert for that. I think it's a great tool to develop that habit too, right? Because now, like, look at the profile that you're getting as well. I'm sure by proximity, when things come up and I can get you on stages with people, I'll do it because I know you're one of the real ones and I know you're talented, but you'll be in situations sometimes where people may ask you questions and I know you're just going to say, well, I don't know. This is what my power is. And this is what we do at the team to make sure that we're accomplishing that. But here's the trick. I bet you're going to think about that thing. And I bet you're going to learn about it. And you're going to find somebody that maybe teaches you about it. In a year, somebody's going to ask you the same question and you're going to be like, oh, well, it's this, this, and this, like YouTube strategy, for example. I texted Benji yesterday and I was like, dude, I have a problem. I'm like, just like when I started doing jujitsu, I'm like, I can't shut up about YouTube. I'm like, I'm now coaching like a judo coach, a jujitsu coach, a plumber and a farmer, like all these guys, and being like, you don't understand what you can do on this platform. Like, it will change your life. And that I wouldn't have been able to talk to that 8 months ago. Now, will I pretend that I know more than I do? Never. Right? I'll tell you what's working for me now, but I'll also put a giant asterisk that it's working for me for what I'm trying to accomplish. Everybody has to walk their own path.
Oh, I love that, Justin. I think this is particularly important for people who are new to the real estate industry and who are thinking right now, like, what on earth am I even going to talk about, regardless of the platform, if I don't really know what I'm talking about? I think there's still an incredible opportunity for you guys to document your journey, document you learning. Like, if you're going to sit down with somebody at the office who's a senior realtor and you're going to be asking them questions, or maybe it's your broker of record and you're going to ask them some questions about how to navigate multiple offers, record that. It's okay to be the one who's curious. And what you can then do is allow people to be a fly on the wall on the conversations that you're having. Like, let them learn along with you. And so, to your point, Justin, like, you don't need to fake it till you make it here. Let people know that you're new. Let people know that you're going to find out the answer to these questions. And when you do get the answer to those questions, take your camera out, do a little selfie video saying, I just got the answer to this question that I was asked. I didn't know that. That's okay. I think people actually love that. People love to be a part of your come up. They love to be a part of the journey. Don't you think?
I do. I think they also will relate with you, right? I would say the number one way to grow on any social platform is to be relatable to the people that see themselves in you. And I'm constantly telling people, I'm like, if I can do what I've done, anybody can do it. Two other very interesting points about Clubhouse. Remember Gary Vee? And I know you guys love him there, and I've been following his stuff for years. So I'm actually talking to him about coming on and being in my Clubhouse room. And because I'm running that room specifically, I now have that ability to reach out to somebody like him because he wants access to that platform. But remember his story when he was in the back room at Wine Library and how he built his Twitter following before anything. It was one-to-one, hand-to-hand combat. I had an epiphany the other day where I was like, I'm literally doing that right now. Like, the people that I'm talking to, that I'm developing relationships with, the hand-to-hand combat, that's exactly the stage that I'm in, is what he was doing back when he was building the Twitter following. And that's enough for me, right? I don't think people need to go in a space because they want their ego pumped up. I think being naturally curious, and the second point I was going to make was not having an ego so big that you need to pretend to be somebody you're not. I think having the humbleness and the curiosity enough to put your hand up and say, hey, I'm going to ask this question. I don't care if I look stupid, will separate you from the rest, and shutting out the noise of people that are saying that what you're doing is a waste of time. Because I can promise you it's not. Just like people saying doing video or Instagram was stupid 10 years ago, now they're scrambling to catch up. I think in 10 years, there's going to be a deep hole that they're going to have to fill.
Guys, I hope that Justin inspired you today to get on Clubhouse. It's an incredible platform. And if you're not wanting to be on Clubhouse, be sure to follow Justin on his Instagram account. I think it was up there before. It's going to be up there in a second. Be sure to follow him because he's always willing to give away all the trade secrets, which is why us here at REC, we love you so much. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
He muted himself.
Oh, I think you muted yourself, Justin.
I love what you're doing at FTGU. Keep doing what you're doing. Love you all, and I will connect with you in the future.
See you soon, Justin. Take care. Guys, we're down to the last 10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes. I can't even believe it. This day completely flew by, and I somehow managed to like whip everyone into shape and keep them on time because I wanted to be respectful of your time. I know you guys all have a lot of stuff going on in your personal lives and your work lives. You got lots to do, and I appreciate you guys so much for taking the 4 hours of your day to be with us today. We had a lot of questions about how we can see the video. You're going to all get an email so you can watch this recording again. If you want the slides, because I know we had some people who had slides, some people who didn't get their slides to us in time, so we couldn't put them on. We're going to get everyone's slides. If you want those slides, please email us at info@ftigumedia.com and just put like, this is going to be in the comments. Okay, I'm getting everyone told it's in the comments, info@ftigumedia.com, or it's right on the bottom of the screen, and just put in the subject topics. You don't need to write anything else. Do what Justin said. Nine words is all you ever need to do anything. So just put in the subject line topics. We'll be sure to, slides, not topics. Slides, guys. Put slides and we'll get you the slides, okay? So now that we're down to it, you know, you're probably exhausted. Your mind's about to explode off your body. And there was a lot to consider there today. We had some incredible guests. Again, I just wanted to shout out everybody who joined us. Justin, James, we had Judy, Giselle, Jaime, Jazz, and Marcus all here today, just giving their time to help you guys be the best that you can be and to help you guys really, really, really make 2022 the year of you, right? That was the whole goal about this. 2022 is all about you, and we want you guys to really take action. That's how you're going to really pay us back, right? Is to actually do something with everything that you've heard today. So you're probably thinking, well, where do I start? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I'm overwhelmed. Do I do Facebook? Do I do Clubhouse? Do I do them all? Oh my God. And what I don't want to see happen is what we see so many times, particularly when people make New Year's resolutions, right? It's, I'm going to lose this much weight this year. I'm going to read this many books. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to do all these things. And then they kind of last like 3 weeks. This isn't that game, okay? This isn't like, let's go from 0 to hero. If you have yet to post anything on social media, I don't expect you to then tomorrow post 5 times a day and continuously do that. It's too much of a leap, right? So we need to take baby steps because that's how you're going to really do this over the course of the next year. I would really love to see you guys at this point next year looking back saying, wow, I posted one piece of content every single day on Facebook. And that's one more piece of content every single day than I was doing before. That's a win, okay? But if you're still confused and you're still concerned and you're still wondering, do I need to delete my business Instagram account? Do I keep my business page on Facebook? Do I amalgamate my YouTube pages? What do I do? Where do I start? I want you guys to take advantage of a quick 20, 30-minute conversation with a FTGU Media team member where we're going to assess what you guys got going on. And you can do that by going to ftigumedia.com/strategy. And you can schedule in a time to speak with us. And we're gonna chat with you guys, okay? And it's no cost to you. We're really just doing this just to help out because we want to see you win. We really do. And so take advantage of that. Again, it's ftigumedia.com/strategy. and someone from our team will reach out to you this week to schedule you in. We're going to take our time and really help you guys. So if you haven't gotten a question answered today, you're still concerned, you still don't know what the hell's going on, just email us then at info@ftgumedia.com. Any of your questions, someone will get back to us. But keep in mind today, we had over 150 people, I think, joining us for the entire day. But this recording is going out to over 1,000 people. And so we're probably going to have a lot of questions coming in. And so just bear with us because we will get back to you. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And I guess to really close this off, I just kind of wanted to quickly thank everybody who joined us today. While I was busy doing my quick outfit changes, there was a lot of scrambling going on, and I wanted to kind of end off where I started. So with the bright yellow, it seems like in the comments, everyone liked this one the best. So here we go. Yellow for the win. I wanted to thank the team, Steven, Yas, Jazz. We got Zaza. We got Remington in the back. We got Chiquita here today. Who else? Parsa's out there today. Nikki here as well. The whole team came. And Clem, I know he's working from home and he's doing all his things on the back end. The whole team was here. I hope you guys found it valuable. Please give everyone, like my team, a thumbs up or like something in the emojis just to show them your thanks. And again, the team is going to be reaching out to you guys soon. Be sure to follow all of our speakers today. Copy what they say. Do your due diligence on them. Make sure you're connecting with one or two of them. You don't need to love everybody, but if someone connected with you today, be sure to connect with them, follow them, and copy and do what they're saying. We're all an open book here. So if I did a video on Instagram yesterday and you like it and you think it's valuable, I want you to steal it. I want you to try it for yourself. And again, if you don't know what you're saying and you're new, it's okay. Just let people be a fly on the wall on your journey. Guys, I wish you all the best of luck. If I don't hear from you beforehand, I wish you a happy holiday and obviously a very, very happy new year. Thanks again. Take care, guys.